Peace. This is Flo Rogan, and this is The Art of Rhyming, episode 56. Just because you rhyme doesn't make you an artist. You know how we do. This is something to aspire to. Please hit subscribe. Most importantly, we got Jae Skeese jumping on the live, Buffalo Zone. Dude's been grinding it out, at least since 2010, putting out projects. Signed to Drumwork, Conway's label, around 2021. And has been globetrotting, but is currently on his own headlining tour, the Ground Level Tour. And we're fortunate enough to have him jump on the live, share his war stories, go over some bars, just talk about everything, man. And gonna invite him on right now. It's gonna be great. How's everyone doing tonight? Up, Cam. Thank you for joining. There he is.
Yes, sir.
Peace,
Yes,
Jay.
sir. We back. We
We're
back.
back. We're back in live, man. So sorry. So you were saying that you're sort of in the middle of your ground level tour, and you're going to different cities and coming back to Buffalo and then heading back out. Is that what you're doing this whole time, or?
Yeah, just because of the way that we kind of routed the tour, it wasn't a thing where we were doing back to back to back to back dates. So
Gotcha.
it was more so a thing like this is my first time being out on the road, kind of by myself. So
Amazing.
it's actually good that we kind of did it the way that we did it because it kind of gives me a little bit of time to, you know, between each city to kind of regroup and figure out my strategy for the next city. Because I
Yeah,
mean, in
yeah,
a lot of these cities, we're just really trying to figure out, okay, who can we bring out, and what's the draw like in each city, and what is it going to take for me to get there. So, it's been a learning experience, man. City to city, week to week, but I'm just really glad that I'm able to even make it happen because where
yeah,
I'm at in the game right now, like it's tough for artists to tour, especially during this time of the year. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a difficult time. It's still
yeah.
winter. People don't really want to come out for real, but we've been fortunate enough to bring some people out, and the show's been good. Like it's been good energy. So I've been enjoying it for sure.
Look, big congrats. I look up to it. I was an artist nowhere near on your level, bud. So just big congrats. That's all I could say on that. We're going to get into it. I have a lot of questions about the tour and stuff and a bunch of stuff, but I wanted to give you a bit of introduction, if that's cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, so for those that don't know Jay Skeese, I'd call him a bar master out of Buffalo, East Buffalo. Is that right?
Yeah, well, no, it's the east side of Buffalo. I
Okay.
like East Buffalo is like a new thing. I don't know
Okay.
why they changed it, but it's east side of Buffalo.
Okay. Gotcha. So dude has infinite cadences, falls into infinite pockets, honestly, and he's been putting out music at least since 2010. You could fine tune that for me, if because that's as far back as your Bandcamp goes.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, so he's someone that I think raps often from an everyday person's perspective, which is very refreshing for me. It's important for me to mix this type of hip hop into my diet. It's critical, actually. In 2021 was one of the first artists, I believe, signed to Conway's Drumwork label. You
Yeah,
were you the first? I thought I heard someone say that.
yeah. I
Um,
was the first artist signed to Drumwork.
got it. And since then, from what I see, you've been globetrotting with Conway, touring and popping up on all the major platforms, doing interviews, freestyles, all the big platforms. And currently, you're taking time out of your tour to speak with me. So again, thank you for that, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Like I said, man, I'm glad to be here, man. It's a pleasure and it's an honor, man. So salute to you, man. Let's get into it.
Thank you, man. And I get nerdy with this shit, so I'm gonna tell you what I like about your music. Again, when I hear your music, I feel it's from an everyday person's perspective. Like your thoughts are really like free flowing in a way that sort of reminds me, not stylistically, but just vibe wise, of like maybe a Tribe Called Quest, a Far Side, a Lupe Fiasco, just people that think freely on a record. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And um, and you get all those dimensions through your music. You know what I mean?
Yeah, nah, 100%. Like, the thing that I always kept in mind, before signing and, even watching Griselda's come up and thinking like, man, what if I get next to them? What if I get the opportunity? Just knowing, what West Side and Conway and Benny and Derringer, what they kind of brought to the table. They brought a grimy style of rap to the table. And I knew I was like, I was always like a complete 180 from what they did. You know what I'm saying? Because I
Yeah,
always just been on a different vibe, but I knew that was either going to like really help me or it was really going to hurt me. But I was willing to say, I'm gonna just bet it all on me, and if I do, what I'm saying, get next to them and happen to sign to one of them, I'm gonna just stick to my guns and stick to what I'm about and stick to what I talk about. So so far it's worked, and I think at first it was kind of like, man, it was like, man, what is this dude doing? Like, who is this dude? Like, he's not talking about flipping bricks, he's not talking about how many guns he got and how many people he shot and how he got shot. But that just wasn't the, like, I've been around that shit, like, don't get me wrong, like, what I'm
Yeah,
saying, coming up, I've seen a lot of shit, I've done a lot of shit myself, but that just never was the energy that I really was on. And even when I was, entertaining the idea of being in the streets and shit like that, I knew better because that just never was me. So I would rather just, what I'm saying, portray a different type of message and, give people something to think about. Like, that's always been real big for me because the artists that I've always loved and always loved to, like, listen to and was truly inspired by, they always had they had something to say. And I feel like my
yeah.
story is real enough to give people something that can make you think, and like you said, it's for the everyday person. You
I
know what I'm saying?
I feel like I became a hip hop fan in like the golden era as a little kid, literally like 87, 88. That's where my heart still is at. You know what I'm saying? So again, that's why I like hearing content like what you bring to the table. Um, but aside from the content, you're really the most versatile artist I've peeped. Like right up there, I'd say in terms of people I interviewed. I interviewed Mickey Fax once. He's super versatile, but you're like
Super versatile.
right up there with him. And I mean, every artist claims to be versatile, like they have stuff in their vault that you've never heard, this and that. But I mean, you can literally change your cadence from track to track, and you do it proficiently, bud. You know what I'm saying?
Word,
Um,
word.
I don't think I've heard anything quite like it. And I think the other cool thing is, despite all those different styles, when you step off the mic, and I've been watching your interviews, looking at your mini docs, I feel like I'm still getting the person that was rapping, despite all those different styles. So it's pretty interesting, man. So
Yeah, yeah.
there's my nerdy take on it. I don't know if you have a comment to that, but yeah,
Nah, that's, I mean, that's exactly what it is. Like, I just try to make sure, man, with whatever I do creatively, I just want to, like, I've always had this thing with me where I just want to show you I could do whatever. You know what I'm
right,
saying? Like, I don't put me in a box. You know what I mean? Like,
right,
granted, I'm like, when it comes to my subject matter, I usually stay on a certain subject matter. I want to be uplifting. I want to be motivational. I want to be, I want to just bring something to the game that not a lot of other people like do or can.
yeah.
But when it kind of like, I just don't limit myself to anything. That's why, like, you can get, you know, situated, what I'm saying, with Big Crit and Sauce Walker. But then also, I got a whole album and mad features with Conway. Then I can do a burner phone type song where it's like inspired by Nas, you know what I'm saying? Then
Yeah.
I got Lunch Table where I'm taking you back to, my high school days, what we used to do at the lunch table and just kind of bring you back to that. So, I'm all over the spectrum when it comes to like styles and when it comes to the type of beats that I select, because like I said, I want to just show like, yo, I could do everything. You ain't gonna put me in a box. I'm gonna do whatever. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But then on the other side of it, when you say like, when you listen to the interviews and you listen to, the vlogs that I've been doing, especially lately, everything that I put into the music again, a lot of it is what I'm going through at the time, or like, yo, I might have just figured something out. Yo, I need to go talk about this on a record. So that's usually what you get through the music. So when you talk about the interviews and the vlogs, like, it's gonna be 100% authentic because I really like, as I'm figuring out the game and like signing and going off on my own and doing these tours and doing this that, and the third, I'm putting that all into the
So,
music. I'm literally giving it to you just like that.
and I mean, writing has a way of clarifying your thoughts, right? Are you sort of clarifying what's going on through your writing as you're going, or my?
Yeah, for sure. Because I gotta talk myself through certain shit. I don't know if people notice, but
Right.
like when you sign and shit like that, like, it's cool, but me and my manager was just talking about this shit earlier today. You can't skip no steps. You know what I'm saying, in this shit, and I think a lot of people that's the part that people have fucked up in this rap shit. They think they could just pay some money, and you're not gonna have to go through the struggles of being an artist and doing your first couple shows, and you know what I'm saying, like. you can't skip no steps. And so when I signed, it was like cool, like I'm rapping with Conway now, but it wasn't a thing where all of a sudden I just had a million followers and I, you know what I'm saying, I signed $1 million deal. So it's still a lot of shit that I'm still figuring out and I'm going through. You understand what I'm saying? So you get a lot of that in the music, and it's like I'm talking myself through certain shit. It'd be a lot of times where I might say something on a record and it's me needing to hear it, like not just,
Yeah,
you know what I'm
yeah,
saying, like it's like, yo, like you got to keep going, you got to keep pushing forward. I might be in the studio that day and I'm, not feeling it, you know what I'm saying, because I write everything in the studio. So it might be shit that I tell myself, you know what I mean, and I know other people need to hear it too, you know what I'm saying.
yeah. No, it's amazing what happens when you step away from something you recorded. Maybe 2, 3 days later, you play it back, and you hear it. It takes like another shape almost. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
100%, 100%.
uh,
I think
uh,
because like I never like anything that I put down really like off rip. Like
right, right,
usually when I record some shit, I'm like I don't love it in the studio. I gotta sit with it for like a
right.
couple days. You know what I'm saying? Unless it's like a feature that I'm sending back, because a lot of the time I like those, but
Yeah,
when we talk about the music that I'm doing for like my projects, I usually got to listen to that shit at least for a week. You know what I'm saying? Because off the rip, I'm just like, man, I don't like how I sound here. I don't like my tone. I could have
yeah,
said this different. I could have said this line, man. Let me change this line. This line corny. But then I sit with it. And I'm like, nah, that's some real shit. Or
yeah,
I'll go back to the
yeah,
drum board, whatever. You
yeah.
know what I'm saying?
The other thing is like just for someone to master all the cadences you've mastered, it shows your love for this shit. Like you can't do all that mastering of the craft if you don't love this shit, man. So I don't know. I just that stands out to me as well, man.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
I I did want to ask you, with the bag of skills that you do have, what is your strategy for keeping a project like tight and cohesive? Like when I was rapping at whatever level I was rapping at, I didn't have that many styles I could tap into. So how do you wield all that power? You know what I'm saying? You could take it anywhere. Do you have a strategy when you sit down to do a project of like where you want to go, the boundaries of it, or whatnot, or you just let it rip type of
I
thing?
mean, I think like at this point, because you gotta think I've been, signed to Con for, what is it, 4 years now. And I still consider myself to be growing as an artist. Like I'm not, what I'm saying, by any means of a finished product, right? So, but what I kind of did was, especially for like Abolish Uncertainties and for Ground Level, it was like real important to me, like to look at some of my favorite albums and really, what I really did was I took Good Kid, Mad City,
Mm,
and I kind of thought a lot about where that album took me. You know what I'm saying? Because I remember when that album came out, and I remember like the feeling that I got from it, and I knew like it was real important for me on About Uncertainties and Ground Level as well to just give certain parts of my story. You know what I mean? But sonically, I thought it was real important also to not stick to one sound. I thought because when you listen to Good Kid, it's like, yo, you get a lot of different sounds, you get a lot of different emotions, you get a lot of different like paces throughout the album. And it's kind of like a good album is going to take you up and it's going to take you down,
yeah,
you know what I'm
it
saying,
has
like up and down.
there's like a chart like to the drama.
There you
Yeah,
go, there you go. So
yeah,
that, like, and listening to Good Kid, Mad City, that kind of really helped me kind of understand how I wanted to formulate my albums, you know what I'm saying. And I just felt like, man, like I know here I want to take you up. Like the second track I think on, or second or third track on, yeah, it's the third track actually, on About Uncertainties is Bonneville. You know what I'm saying? Bonneville is
I
like
love that
high
tune. I love
energy,
that
you know
tune.
what I'm saying? And it's
Yeah,
like the album, when it starts off, it's high energy. Then you go to $1 Million Dreams, still high energy. Then you got Bonneville, which is just like, yo, what the hell is going on? This shit is crazy. And then, I take you down a little bit with Lunch Table. So,
yeah,
or I'm sorry, with Burner Phone and then Lunch Table. So again, and it's like, and then, we go back up after that. So, it's like I think when I'm thinking about it, I just want to take you on a roller coaster ride. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like as you go up, you like anticipating something crazy, then I bring you down, then I take you right back up. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I kind of think about my solo drum work projects and
mm,
just the feeling that I want people to get from them and the emotion and again like the pace and just when you listening to it, it's like I can, if I'm feeling this right here today. I can go listen to 1, 3, and 11. Or if I'm feeling like this today, I can listen to
Yeah.
2, 6, 8, and 9. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of where I'm taking you, like kind of just on that roller coaster ride. You know what I'm saying?
And I think Kendrick is a dope person to sort of model after. He has huge range in a different way than you, but you could really take people on high highs, low lows, just with the range you have in your skills and stuff. So yeah, man. So look, I have a theory I've developed over the years, and I wanted to run it by you and see if you agree with it or not. Um, my theory is that if you have the image, like if you're an everyday person in your music, especially in the last many years, decades in hip hop, I feel like you got to work a lot harder and display a lot more excellence than, say, someone, let's say, that has an image of being active in the streets or a hustler or a gangster. I feel like the narrative of being someone sort of in the streets is very quickly understood because it's been presented so many times, for better or worse. What do you think of that? Do you agree with this theory, or you know,
I mean,
like,
I do. I agree with you saying, and I don't think like me personally. I don't think there's anything wrong with it per se because, like, the thing that you got to remember is that music is entertainment. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So going into it, a lot of people, man, they looking at it like, yo, this is my opportunity to entertain, and so they're gonna do and say anything because, you know what I mean. They want to entertain. They want to get a check. They want to get paid.
right,
I think the difference is with what I do, I'm giving you a lot of the time a real story. I'm giving you a whole different viewpoint on what it is to be an MC and to tell your story, right? And there are other MCs that do that as well that I have a great appreciation for. Um, but I just feel like with doing that, you create longevity. You know what I'm saying? Because you can have, short term success that comes fast just based
yeah,
off the fact that all you doing is just, you're just entertaining. I'm giving you what you want. You know what I'm saying? America, we love, what I'm saying, shootout movies. We love motherfuckers set it off. We love paid in full. We love drugs. We love the streets because something that it just fascinates people. You know what I mean? It's something that
absolutely,
fascinates people. So obviously, like the music aspect of what we love. You can profit off of that if you talk about that in your music or if that's the image that you portray. So I got this song called "Against the Grain" with
right.
Conway and Flea Lord, and I'm not the usual. I go against the grain. That's the hook. You know what I'm saying? And so with what you're saying, that's like your theory is 100% correct. But I just feel like I've chosen to go against the grain because that's what's in me. You know what I
I,
mean?
I salute you for that, and I think we need more of that. But I also feel like you have a skill set that's far better than the average rapper as well, and you fit the profile of an everyday person to me, anyways, right?
Yeah,
At
yeah,
least in your
100%.
content and stuff like that. So I wanted to let you know how I first heard of you. I think it's always interesting to let the artist know. I have a homie, Jay Roberts from Toronto. I think he got a verse from you maybe a year or two ago. So that's how I actually learned of your name. And then late last year, interviewed Superior. And that Union 2 track really pulled me in, man. And then I peeped the whole Testament of the Times album. Union 2 is actually one of my favorite tracks from last year, period, man.
Word,
So
word.
th- th-
Man, salute. Thank
thought
you,
I'd
bro.
let
Yeah, I know Jay Roberts, man. He's a phenomenal lyricist, from up there in Canada. I don't know exactly where from, but the homie always shows love. So salute to Jay Roberts. I see Show Rock in here too. My man
yeah.
Iman was in here too. Salute to Iman Clemmy. I see you as well. What's good with you? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I know Jay Roberts, man. That's the homie. He's a great guy. You know what I'm saying? And then Superior, man, that's my guy. You know what I mean? He's phenomenal producer. We came together. We made Testament of the Times last year. He came with the beats. I came with the rhymes. You know what I'm saying? And that the album title was Testament of the Times. It was a testament of the time that I was living when I was recording those tracks and shit. And I feel like it was one of the best albums of last year outside of Ground Level. So. Salute to Superior as well. But that's
Yeah,
dope that Jay Roberts actually put you on because I think I've known Jay Roberts or known of Jay Roberts because I don't think I've ever met him, but I've known of him for a while. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying?
I'm in a space where I stepped away from really being tapped in for a few years, and I'm just zigzagging, listening to the music of the people I interview So most of the time, I'm learning of artists through interviews and listening to other artists. So that's sort of how I'm navigating this stuff right now. It's a bit different, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for
Um,
sure.
so I have some connections to Buffalo when I started this platform, but I know a few people from Buffalo. I wanted to run some names by you. I think most of them are older than you, but let me
Okay.
run some names by you.
Yeah, for sure.
So I did it like a pilot episode, like just testing out does this have legs at all with a dude named Agent O.
Oh
Does
yeah,
that
I know
name ring a
Asian O.
bell? Okay,
Yeah, I
okay.
know Asian O. That's the homie, man. Phenomenal spitter.
Right.
Phenomenal
So there,
spitter.
so literally my pilot episode just to see if this could work was with him. We
Yeah.
recorded a tune together when I was recording again. Pretty Bully, I interviewed her. She's
Yep.
nasty. You know her?
Yep.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
know Pretty Bully, man. I be seeing her pop up on Shade 45 from time to time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She does her thing. If I'm not mistaken, she's tapped in with my guy L Biz. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
From the team. Yep.
And I got that interview through Elbiz because I've interviewed him a few times, man. So I got some connections to Buffalo through this
That's what's up.
platform. Thought
Yeah,
I'd let you know.
my homie, he saw that we were doing this interview today. My guy Tony Boy, he was like, "Oh, nah, I know the homie. He's solid. I met him up in Toronto."
Yeah, I think we saw him at the Conway Bronson show. So I saw you there,
Hmm.
man. So yeah, man.
Word, word.
And
Oh,
I
yo,
met
that
him
show
there.
was crazy too. By the way, I ain't gonna
Yeah,
lie, that show
yeah,
was teed up. Oh my god!
for
So
sure, man.
it was funny. Khan was having some problems with getting over the border, and
Right.
so I think they got to the venue because I had already got in and everything. Man, we got into or they got into the venue, and they told me to go up on the stage like 2 minutes before I got on the stage, and yo, just go up there, go do like two, three songs.
Yeah.
I bet shit, and I went out there. I didn't know it was that many people out there. It was
Right,
like,
right,
yo, it was
right.
like 2,500 people out there. Went out there
Yeah.
and rocked that shit, man. It was a great crowd.
That was a dope show. Did you stick around for the Bronson set as
Yeah,
well, or
yeah. I stuck
yeah?
around for the whole joint.
Got it. Yeah. He's a dope performer as well, bud.
Nah, he's
Uh,
great, man. I saw him in New York as well with like I want to say it was like Boldy and Earl and maybe Navy Blue was there. It was like a few
right.
people there. Or Armin Hammer actually, it wasn't Navy Blue. Armin Hammer
Got
was
it.
there and I think Al was there. It was a crazy show.
Nice. So I wanted to ask you about the Buffalo hip hop scene, man. How would you describe the scene at the moment?
So right now, I would describe it as it's wide open. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot of different artists that I'm tapped in with that I'm personally like a big fan of. Like I don't know if you heard my latest album is called 40 Hours. It came
Of
out in
course,
January.
yeah,
So, there's a few artists from the town. Actually all the features are really from the town for real. You got Scoop Dollar, you got K Pistol, you got Lil Jonesy, you got Winter Peace. These are all artists that I just except for Scoop Dollar because that's like my homie going way back. But the other artists that I named, they're all artists that like, all the time I just see their name popping up on Facebook and on Instagram and on Twitter, and they always got stuff going on, and they all sound different too. Like Winter, she's got more of an R&B vibe, but she could rap too. And then you got K Pistol, you got Little Jonesy. They really represent like the younger generation in hip hop. But it's still dope. You know what I'm saying? Like it's fire to kind of see what they bring to the table. And then it's a gang of other spitters that I know of, like B.A. Bad. He's not from Buffalo, but he's been living in Buffalo for a long time, and he kind of represents what we about out here. You got Gaines, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Skating all them boy, like Tony Boy, like I was talking about earlier. He's a great MC as well. So it's like it's a lot of different cats, man, out here that's really doing their thing and that really put on and represent for the town.
Well, was that all? Actually, quick question: can you see my video? Just curious. Am I good on
I
the
can,
video?
yeah, I can see you right now.
Okay, dope. Was it produced by Buffalo producers as well? I know Illtone produced at least on the deluxe version. He produced a couple tracks, right?
Yeah, he did a couple joints. He did Banditland. Um, and then there's a producer named Eminent Productions. He did Round and Round, and he did what's the other? That's the other track he did. He did Balanced Inquiry.
Right.
So there, he's from Buffalo. I believe there was one other producer from Buffalo on there, but it's like slipping my mind right now because I'm trying to think of. Oh yeah, Ma is on there as well. He did Rotary Phone.
Got it. Got it.
So yeah, like I was able to tap in with with some producers from the town as well. So but as far as like spitters and rappers, man, it's wide open because it's a lot of different people that do a lot of different things out here.
So you have to pardon me. Obviously, I'm not from Buffalo, but does Griselda cast a big shadow over the city? Or are artists emerging? You know what I mean? From outside of the legacy and like they've created, or is it still very Griselda centric? Would you say?
I mean, I would say it like this. Like, I think the city of Buffalo, um, we are not a trend setting city, right? We're not like a city that. So I would say this. I will put it like this: the majority of people, we follow what's in the mainstream. So the sound here is very influenced by that. Like you'll
Right.
hear a lot of like whatever you hear on the radio, you'll kind of hear that. You feel what I'm
Got it.
saying?
Got it.
But there is also another like kind of like subgroup of people that really do rock with Griselda, and everybody here knows who Griselda is, and knows who Drumwork is, and knows who BSF is. You know what I'm saying? But just it's like everybody doesn't really want to follow that sound because it's not a
Got it.
mainstream type of sound. Even though you can't deny like the impact that Griselda and Drumwork and BSF have had on modern hip hop, like especially Griselda. I feel like BSF and Drumwork, like we still trying to, kind of, stamp our feet. What I'm saying, in the cement for real. But you can't deny that. So it's like people know, but it's also like people respect it, people know, and we do get a lot of support here. But it's definitely more like dominated by whatever the mainstream is doing for sure.
Got it. Got it. And you know what? Most of the people I interview are underground, and sort of Griselda and Rock Marciano created the lane for them. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah, 100%.
it's interesting to hear that, like, as far as mainstream radio, you're not going to hear a Griselda song in Buffalo. Is that about right?
No,
Or
no, no, that's not necessarily true. Like, when I turn on WBLK 93.7, I will hear from time to time. I'll hear a Conway record. I'll hear,
okay, got it,
Benny. I'll hear Braun by Benny, what I'm saying, from his last album. Or I'll hear Scatterbrain from Conway. From time to time I might hear Symmetry,
got
what I'm
it.
saying, by Jae Skeese. Or, from time to time I might hear a Lot of Genius record. Or, maybe I'll hear a Fly God record, what I'm saying, from time to time. But we're not on the radio, consistent. But as of late, especially, the main like radio stations have been showing a lot more love. And shout out to Adri V, and shout out to all the different DJs, man, that have been showing us love over the years and found ways to kind of get us on the radio. Because for a long time we couldn't get no play on the radio whatsoever. But like people like Adri V and Ed Nice, what I'm saying, like they found ways to kind of sneak us on the radio from time to time, what I'm saying, either whether it's late or, throw us in a mix show or whatever the case is. DJ Wire, what I'm saying, he would show us love as well. So, you know.
Thanks for sharing that. Just from where I sit, when I think Buffalo, I think Griselda right away, right? So thanks for sharing that
Yeah, that's
perspective.
that's usually like the sentiment of a lot of people outside of Buffalo. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Because what they represent, like, or what I don't want to say we because I'm not a part of Griselda, but what we kind of represent. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
it's like that golden era of hip hop. It's like it's reminiscent of that sound. So a lot of people, even if you're not from Buffalo, that's like the first thing you think of. Like shit, everybody should know who Griselda is, and they should be playing that shit nonstop. But that's just not the nature of how it is here.
yeah, man. Makes sense. Wanted to ask you what it was like growing up in Buffalo. Did you move around a lot, or just stay in the same place, or
Nah, like so when I was younger, we moved around up until I was about nine, and my mom had bought a house over on the east side, and she still lives in the house to this day. So from the time I was nine until I was about 18, 19, until I moved out, that was like I was in the same house right on Andover off of Bailey. You know what I'm saying? So I grew up uptown. But Buffalo, I always tell people like, you get pretty much every season in Buffalo. You're gonna get you. We obviously get a cold ass winter. You know what I'm saying? We get a lot of snow. But you get, the warm summers. You definitely get a beautiful fall, and you get a decent, a decent spring. Buffalo, we're called the city of good neighbors, but it's good people here. But at the same time, it depends on where you at.
Yeah,
You gotta watch where you're going. Obviously, it's like anywhere else. You know what I'm saying? Um, we got great food. You know what I'm saying? Everywhere you go, it's great food. Um, Man, what else? Obviously, you grow up being a Bills fan. You know what I'm saying? Like the Buffalo Bills are like the pride and joy of Buffalo. You know what I
yeah,
mean? If you're a Bills fan and you're from Buffalo, it's almost like you get exiled. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
The hip hop scene growing up here, like everybody here, you had to be nice. You know what I mean? Like I made my name off of being nice and like battling people. You know what I'm saying? Like we used to battle at the lunch table. We used to battle at the train station. We used to battle at everybody crib. I was the kid. Like my man, rest in peace, Weez. Like he'd be telling everybody. You know what I'm saying? That because he lived in a whole different neighborhood than me, but that was like my best friend. You know what I'm saying? But he'd be telling all the people in his hood, like, "Yo, now my man Skeese. We went to school together. And my man Skeese, he the illest. Like y'all not fucking with Skeese. You know what I'm saying?"
And I know on a lot of your tracks you say this is for Wheeze, like off the bat. So I was gonna ask you about him, but it sounds like you're
Yeah,
already
yeah.
mentioning it. So
Yeah, nah, that's my dog, man. You know what I'm saying? When Weez passed away, I lost a part of my heart, and that's real shit.
yeah.
You know what I mean? But he would tell everybody, man, nah, y'all not fucking with skis, man. And I'm, battling cats based off of that. You know what I mean? So that was like what it was here. You had to be nice, and that was how I got my name. You know what I'm saying? Between doing my thing like battling dudes or people hearing the music, doing shows, trying to open up for people, and then I was doing like my own events here. Like I was
Oh
hosting
wow.
ciphers. You know what I'm saying? Like I would do the ciphers. I worked at a sneaker store, and I would invite whoever pull up, come out. Like, and I would have DJ Gus pull up. He would have the ones and twos, and he'd play the beats, and I would just be on the mic, and I'm passing the mic around. Everybody go crazy. You know what I'm saying? And spit your best shit, and it would be hundreds of people at the spot because it was a big store. You know what I'm saying? So the first couple joints we did, we was like we had hundreds of people pulling up, and it was a crowd of people, and that was how I really got my name out there for real, between doing that and doing shows. And I had really been rapping for a long time, but up until that point, like until I started doing those, that was how I kind of like, oh no, that's the dude Skis. Like he do the joints. He worked at the sneaker store, but he do the ciphers. You know what I'm saying?
So I heard, I don't know if this was in a video or a mini doc, that you started writing, correct me if I'm wrong, to cope with your father's passing. Is that
Yeah,
is
yeah,
that true? Most people, we start rapping for fun, you know what I mean, to pass
yeah.
time and shit like that. But that's a very real reason, to start rapping, man.
Yeah, what it was, so my dad passed away when I was 10. And this is actually, it'll be 25 years actually in about a week and some change, because he
Wow.
passed basically on his birthday, you know what I mean, March 19th. So it'll be 25 years. He passed in the year 2000. But yeah, so like my man Scoop, he's actually featured on 40 Hours. He grew up across the street from me, you know what I'm saying? Like I grew up on Andover. I lived at 56, he lived at 65 at the time. And that was like my man growing up and shit, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, his dad passed away and shit. So um, he used to tell me like, after he found out about my pops, like, yo, I do this to like, help me with it and deal with it and cope with it. And, it's like a way for me to just like talk my shit or whatever.
Yeah.
We young too, like we like, 10, 11 years old.
Mm.
And him and his cousin Peasy, they used to rap and shit. So I used to go over there to his crib, and I used to always stay the night over there at his crib or whatever. And my mom was cool with it because his mom was cool with it. So
Yeah.
I'd be over there, and we'd just be up in his room playing video games, and we'd be on the karaoke machine recording. I would be beatboxing. That was always my big thing. I would beatbox. I wasn't even rapping, and they would rap. And one day, shit, they told me to go home, write a rap. Like, yo, what you gonna come up with? I
Mm.
went back the next day, had some bars, and I rapped them bars for them, and they was going crazy. You know what I'm saying? And so from there, it was like, yo, they were trying to get good enough to go and rhyme with their uncles and shit. They had a studio
Right.
not far from us and shit, and they were just trying to get good enough to get their attention and like, yo, we can rap too or whatever. You know what I'm saying? They had a label. They was putting out albums and all that. So we just was practicing, and then finally one day they heard us. They had us come to the studio, and that was when I said, okay, if I can get good enough, maybe I can do this, and I can help my mom because knowing the situation that I was in, like with my dad passing away, and not really getting a lot of support from the rest of the family, it was like, yo, maybe I can make this a reality, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm seeing music videos at this time. This is Rap City, you know what I'm saying, Hits from the
Right.
Street era, you know what I mean? So I'm like, damn, like that could be me. Like, everybody around me is telling me like I'm just as dope as them. So shit.
Right.
I need to keep going, and that was what really fueled me, was really, losing my dad and knowing like my situation shit at this time. It was times where what I'm saying, I'll pull up after school and get home, and like we wouldn't have lights or we wouldn't have gas. So like what I'm
Mm.
saying, like I'm like we used to have to boil water on the stove and go take a bird bath real quick before
Wow.
school, like, what I'm saying, like all that. So it's like, man, like I could, help my mom potentially, and make our situation better if I just, stay dedicated and really, take this serious. So that was always my mindset and what I was trying to do.
So it's been more than fun and games for you, sort of.
Oh
Is
yeah,
that
yeah, no, 100%, 100%.
Um, so you got a tune called Symmetry with Conway off your Abolish Uncertainties project. I think that's a masterpiece, that project. I'm gonna get all into it, why I think so later, if that's cool with you.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's from 2023, but you had a line which I found was kind of crazy. You're like, was born tongue-tied, third grade practice speech capability. Shit was crazy. Had a thinking he was born with deficiencies. But look at me now, the pen crazy man. I'm doing it brilliantly. It's crazy because, like I said, you're the most like one of the most versatile rappers I've ever heard, man. So it's crazy to think that you ever had any speech, challenges, man.
Yeah, nah, it was back in the day, man, like third grade, you know what I'm saying? Like I had
Yeah,
to go to speech classes, and yo, I ain't gonna lie, when I was younger, I was like, I wasn't real shy, but I was kind of shy.
yeah,
And that was like kind of like one of the reasons why, because I didn't know I had a problem with talking and shit like that. Like, but yeah, I used to have to go to speech. It was I was in third grade. It's me and
yeah,
my man Alex Sunshine. That was his first and last name. We used to have to go to speech class, and I think it was like more so a thing where I just wasn't saying certain things properly, but it was
yeah,
because
yeah.
I was tongue tied. Like literally, like my daughter, it was the same thing. Like when she was born, she was tongue tied. So it's like a thing. Like you can get some type of surgery done or whatever, so that you're not tongue tied.
Right.
And I still think it's like times where I say certain shit on records and I think it don't sound right
It didn't
because
come out properly, like in
yeah, it
your
didn't
head.
come out properly. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? But
yeah,
man, who cares at this point, bro? Like,
yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
I talk my shit. I talk how I talk it. But yeah, that is crazy. You know what I'm saying? When I think about it, like, damn, I did actually go through that. You know what I mean?
So one thing I notice is symmetry comes up about a lot in your catalog. You got a song with Conway called Symmetry. You got a
Uh-huh.
project from 2013 called Searching for Symmetry as well, man.
Yeah.
So it seems like finding balance has been a thing in your life. Is that a fair
Hmm.
statement? It's been
No,
like
one
the
one
prime
thousand
mission.
percent.
I mean, that's my mission. I'm in my early 40s, so
Yeah.
but it sounds like it's been a mission for you. So
Nah, man, 1,000%, man. Like, I think the biggest thing is stability and finding balance. Obviously losing my dad real young and not really fully understanding it, and having feelings about that shit, definitely it's traumatic, you know what I mean? And I've been through other traumatic things in my life as well, like talking earlier about my brother that passed away. Like that, he was like a big part of my support system and just always was there. So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
been other things as well. So what I mean? I think when I'm talking about just searching for symmetry, it's like just finding that stability and finding just resolve with some of the things that I've been through, you know what I mean? And I think when I made the song Symmetry, that was the first song that I like laid down, when I got in the studio with Conway, between that and Burner Phone. And so I made In Search of Symmetry back in 2013. That was when I put it out. And everything that I had did up until I like 2020, and I got in the studio with Conway, and it was like, yo, he was talking about signing me, and he was talking about, yo, I'm really like interested in fucking with you. It was like, yo, wait a minute, like, yo, this is crazy. So when I'm in the studio and I'm like sitting here and I'm like, yo, I couldn't believe this shit. It made me make that song because it was like, yo, everything that I've been through. So when you listen to the song, I'm literally talking about my whole life. I'm talking about everything that I've been through. You know what I'm saying? And at this point, Weez was still alive, so was writing rhymes. I was spitting for Weez. He tell me it's lit for me. Like at this point, Weez is still alive, so it's like
Mm.
I'm going through everything. Like I said, going back to third grade, that was when I was going to speech classes. So I'm detailing all of that shit. You know what I'm saying? But I think to answer your question, what I mean by it is, I'm searching for stability and I'm searching for meaning and I'm searching for balance, man. And it was like, I made In Search of Symmetry, and then when I made Symmetry, I felt like I finally found that shit. Like, damn, like I'm in the studio with Conway the Machine right now. I'm getting ready to sign
Yeah.
to him. Like, yo, I'm here. You know what I'm saying? But not knowing that, this wasn't gonna be the end of everything.
Yeah.
You know what
But
I'm
but
saying?
but you know what? There's moments in life where everything is aligned. At least in that moment, I've learned you gotta savor that moment while it's there, anyways. Right? It sounds like that's what happened when you wrote that song, at least.
100%, man. 100%.
Um, and so looking at your watching the Searching for Symmetry doc as well, you mentioned like when you were younger, you had a little thing with alcoholism, this and that, and that you sort of wrote out at some point on a sheet like the pros and cons, and you were
Yeah.
able to think your way out of it. I thought that was impressive because not all addictions can be thought out of that smoothly, bud. So yeah,
Yeah.
kudos to
Yeah.
you, bud.
Nah, man, thank you. And there was somebody in here. I don't know if they're still in here. They were saying how he was from Utah, I think, and I inspired him to stop drinking. So there you
Is it
go.
granola? Granola, maybe? Was that the
I don't
no?
think so. It was somebody else. I caught it real quick. This was maybe
Yeah.
10 minutes ago.
Oh wow. Okay.
But yeah, like alcoholism, man, it runs in my family. You know what I mean? So it was something that like shit. I was drinking early, man. I started drinking when I was like 15. You know what I'm saying? I used to be with my homeboy and we would do that shit and I just loved how it made me feel and I just never stopped. That was like my biggest thing. I just never really took a break away from it. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And when I finally like you were saying, I was 30 years old. So it was like, man, I need to just like make a life change. At
Yeah,
this point
man.
my daughter was about to be 3. And I was just like, man, or maybe she already was 3. But I'm just like, man, nah, this ain't it. You know what I'm saying? And knowing that I need to be there for her, and then also knowing what my family's history is with alcohol, I just wanted to make a better change for myself, man. And I don't say that it's because of music or anything like that. But how many like MCs, rappers, entertainers are gonna tell you not to drink?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think that's something like I get DMs all the time, man, from people, and it's not just alcoholics either. It's like people who are addicted to other substances as well, and they tell me, yo, I heard your story. I heard you talk about your reasons for quitting what you were doing and things like that, and like, yo, I love that. Like, thank you for that because a lot of people won't tell you to stop, or they'll tell you like it's not good, but they won't give you the steps to kind of help you stop. Or
Yeah.
obviously I'm not like a fucking I'm not like a program or anything like that. Like, I didn't go to a program, I didn't do anything like that. But I think just seeing someone that went from doing whatever they were doing, and then again, I wasn't like a wino either, like I wasn't like strung out or anything like that, but just seeing someone that has had success, or is having success, and can talk about quitting whatever their addiction was. I think that just helps people, and I'm glad that I'm able to give people my story. And when people reach out, man, I always hit them back. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm
Yeah,
I'm constantly writing back. So I think that's big for people, man. As opposed to just being able to see somebody like that, like, nah, I'm gonna hit you back. Like, let's talk about it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
I think that's important.
It could even be things you think are harmless, but you get into this addictive cycle, whether it's social media, other stuff. It's like it just eats away at your productivity too, you know? So,
Yeah, 100%.
I wanted to take a moment to shout everyone out in the chat. We got a lot to talk about if you have the time, Jay. I got a lot here for you. So we
Listen,
got
man, I got a flight at I think I fly at 5:50 a.m. It's currently 9:57, so I got a little bit of time. We
shit,
here.
oh, dope,
Yeah,
dope.
we
So we
here.
got
We here.
Ian and HFL Granola, Legitimo, Jamar Johnson. Thank you for joining the real Chef Dread. Mob with us, Armani Don. I can keep going. Thank you everyone for joining. Hope you're enjoying it. So I understand you used to work at a shoe store at some point, and you let go of that to chase your dream, if I got it correctly. Can you tell us about that point in your life and sort of how you balanced like grappling with work versus music? I assume it was a
So,
constant battle. I know for me, I used to work at a call center years ago, and I was focused on music, and that was
yeah,
like tearing my brain in half, bro. So,
nah, man, I ain't gonna lie. So it wasn't even like that. What it really was like. So COVID came. I was working, but I got furloughed from work. So basically, I wasn't going to work. I got put on unemployment. So then, when it was time to go back to work, because I had been working there for 9 years. Prior to that, prior to COVID, I got robbed at gunpoint at my job, right? Somebody came into my store. It was like right before Christmas. They came in with a gun. They
wow,
robbed the store. I had to give the money to the dude or whatever the case. You know what I'm saying? So then we end up opening back up after we got like the store basically got looted, you know what I'm saying, after George Floyd. So
mm,
we had this instance of my store getting looted and I just got robbed 6 months before this, right? So the company that I worked for didn't want to give my store security even though it was a company initiative.
were you managing the store, owning the store?
Yeah, I was
Like,
the store manager. I had been a
okay,
manager in the company,
got
like
it.
I said, for like 9 years.
Right,
So
right,
I end up basically being in a position where I didn't feel comfortable working in the store. I
wow,
didn't quit in behind music. It was like more so a thing where I didn't feel comfortable working there anymore, and they didn't want to bend on whatever they didn't want to do, and I wasn't folding either. So it was like we kind of couldn't meet in the middle. So it was kind of like, my last phone call with the company, they like, yo, shit, well, if you don't come back to work, we're gonna take it as you quitting. And I'm like, yo, I'm not quitting though. I just like I don't feel safe at work. And it was a tug of war back and forth. I ended up resigning. You feel what I'm saying? So after I resigned, that was when Conway. It was like literally right afterwards. Like
right,
Conway hit me up 2 days later, type shit. But
right.
I
That's
didn't. But it
crazy.
was more so. Like I say, it was like a leap of faith. More so on the side of I didn't know what was next. I didn't know what was coming next. And I didn't know that I was going to be put in a position where I would be able to make music like my full-time thing. You get what I'm saying? It was more so just like, yo, choose. You can either choose yourself or you could choose these people that don't really give a fuck about you. They really just looking at you as like a number. You get what
Yeah,
I'm saying? And at the end of the day, like I got a daughter to come home to, so I was like, nah, I'm not jacking that. I'm not fucking with that. Like, nah, I got shit I gotta do. You know what I'm saying? So then that was when Con reached out and, made, me working in music like more of a reality and doing this shit full time. But then it was like, all right, like, again, when you sign a deal, you know, especially to like, a label of like that's just starting. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not gonna be what people think it is. I'm
yeah,
more so signed for the opportunity, and I've had to work nonstop the last 4 years to get to where I am right now. Like nothing at all, and I'm saying this on the record. Nothing at all has been given to me. Like I've done all of this shit myself. Period. Like, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, big shout out to Conway for all the features, all the love, all everything that he's done for me. He's done a lot for me, you know what I'm saying, in terms of, letting me jump on his albums, jump on projects and, posting my shit and showing me love, bringing me out at the shows and allowing me to be there. But don't get it twisted. Like, this shit is 1000% everything you see. A lot of the time it's between me and my man, like my manager. You know what I'm saying? 1000%.
I have a whole segment on Conway. I want to build the suspense a bit, and I have some questions because I know that's not the first time you guys cross paths. So gonna get all into that, but I do want to. I have some sneaker points here. I want to get through with you if that's
Yeah.
cool, bud.
One
Um,
of the-
so I'm gonna be real with you. I've never been like an all the way like sneakerhead. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? What does your average pair of shoes cost?
My
Eh,
average pair of shoes cost.
yeah,
I mean, if we talking retail, it's anywhere from, because I love my Air Force Ones. So,
right,
a good pair of Air Force Ones is anywhere from, 120, 115. But I'm not like a designer shoe type of wearer. You know what I'm
right,
saying? So
right.
your average shoe is going to be anywhere from about $120 to 250. You know what I'm saying? But if we talking what I've paid upwards after
Yeah,
shit came out, I mean,
yeah.
I think, man, 2021 at some point, I think I paid for a pair of Dunks. Them bitches was about 1,300. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Like, but I had to have them. You know what I'm saying? I had to have them joints. It was for something I was doing.
Right.
But I've paid anywhere from about 550 to about $1,300 for different shoes that I
Got it.
really
Got
like.
it.
Yo, I gotta have these. You know what I'm
R-
saying?
real talk. I think my most expensive pair of shoes I got in grade 3 or 4 were the first Reebok pumps. My mom got them for me with inflation. I don't know what they costed,
Yep.
but those must have been the most expensive pair I
Hey,
ever
I ain't
had,
mad at
man.
you, man. The pumps was fire. The pumps was fire, bro. I ain't mad at you. I had a few
um,
pair of them joints.
nice, nice. So you got your series Ekin, 1, 2, 3, 4. You have 4 songs now. You sort of drop those between projects. I didn't know
Mhm.
what that meant, so I looked it up, man. So here's the definition. The moniker Ekin, Nike spelled backwards, was developed in the 1980s, symbolic of the backwards and forwards product knowledge of these Nike employees. A subset of Nike workers, Ekins are the brand's trusted voice. I don't know how many people in this IG live knew that, but yeah, man. Uh, was it your goal to be an Ekin at some point? I mean, you worked at a
So
shoe store and stuff,
what it was, so again, I was managing, like, the stores that I worked at when my job that I was working up until I started doing music full time. And what we would do is we would go to, these meetings and we would go to these trade shows and shit like that, like once or twice a year. And we would go and meet with the Eakins.
right?
And the Eakins from Nike, so we might go to a show and it would be, people from Timberland, it would be people from Converse, it would be people from, all these different brands that we would sell in the store. But
Right,
the Eakins would be different because they would have their own whole room set up, you know what I'm saying? And the Eakins was dope because they had all the knowledge about
right,
whatever sneaker was coming out, especially like the new shit. Like they knew about the technology. Like, so every year Nike has like a new Air Max, so they got like a new Pegasus or whatever the case is, and they done upgraded. They got this material on it now. They got that material in the air bubble now, and they would
right,
have all of this information. They would be dressed cool. They were just the coolest people that you could meet with, and
right.
so that was what kind of inspired that. Like, yo, the Eakins was the shit. You know what I'm saying? Like they were plugged in, and it's Eakins in every major city. So when you go to Chicago, it's 2 Eakins there. You go to New York, it's probably like 5 or 6 Eakins there, right? You go to Baltimore, it's probably 2 Eakins there. You know what I'm saying? LA probably got like, 4 or 5 Eakins out there. You feel what I'm saying? But
Yeah,
what I said was like, yo, I've been working in sneakers for so long. I'm such a big sneakerhead. I got all this knowledge, the kicks and all that. Yo, I need to make a series because I ain't never heard nobody, outside of like the Wale's and the Currencies. They might name a sneaker here and there,
right,
but
right.
shit, I'm gonna do it to a whole nother level and talk this sneaker shit on a whole new level. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This other fun fact: the average Ekin salary at Nike is 64K per year. The average additional pay is 5K per year, including cash bonus. I thought that was an interesting fun fact. So
Yeah, for sure,
yeah,
for
man.
sure.
Um, so other thing that stood out to me, when I caught on that you sort of you are a sneakerhead, and that's sort of part of your identity with the music. I would say it kind of reminded me, like, Lupe Fiasco when he came out with Kick Push. Kind of,
Yeah,
he had like people thought of him as a skater, but for you, I think it's more the real deal even than for Lupe. Probably like
yeah,
you
yeah.
are a sneakerhead through and through, right?
Yeah, through and through, man. Like that shit is very, near and dear to my heart. Cause when I was growing up, I never had the sneakers. Like I used to wear
Yeah,
fucking Airwalks and Spaldings, and you know
yeah,
what I'm saying. Like that was
me
like
too.
my norm. You know what I'm saying? So I used to always see people with the sneakers and be like, damn, those is fly. Like, I want a pair of those, but my mom wasn't buying them shits when I was younger. So when I was old enough, I think my mom did buy me like one or two pairs of Jordans when I got a little older, when she was doing a little better as far as like, her job. But dog, growing up, we never used to get nothing nice. You know what I'm saying? So I said, man, when I get old enough to buy my own shit, I'm buying all the shit that I like. And so that just kind of stuck with me, you know what I'm saying? Like, I love to look good in terms of sneakers and what I'm putting on. So, you know what I mean? I'm real into streetwear, though. Like I said, I'm not, like, I love sneakers. I love my Jordans. I love my Nikes. And I got love for other brands, too. But I'm really a Nike head. But in terms of, like, what I'm putting on fashion-wise, like, I love my streetwear brands, man. I don't really do that designer shit like that.
I think it's cool to put that out there and people can anchor like, oh, okay, Jae Skeese, he's a sneakerhead. I think it's a good thing as an artist. People could associate something with you. You know what I mean? So
100%.
yeah, man. So when I started peeping your SoundCloud, was it no, sorry, your Bandcamp. Your first project was called Whack. It came out in 2010. The opening track, you're like rapping over a Drake beat. You know what I'm saying? You've
Hmm.
tried so many things with music, obviously, but you were really sharp with the bars even back then. Was that your first official project? Because you were like super sharp even back then, man.
Yeah, so you could technically say Whack was like my first project. Like it was like my first mixtape. But I had shit prior to that. Like, me and Billy Esco, back then he was going by Busy. We had a mixtape, it was a joint mixtape called Highly Anticipated, and I was on that shit rapping all over that.
Mm,
And before that, we had other shit, man, like, but Women, Alcohol, Cash and Kicks, that was my first, like, this is Jae Skeese mixtape.
right. Got it, got it. And before you were signed to Conway, obviously you've been grinding it out with music. How would you describe like your grind back then? Like, were you selling things hand to hand? Were you taking any trips out of Buffalo? Like, what would you describe your grind in music as pre getting signed to Drumwork?
Yeah, it was a lot of well, what I used to do, because I was working, right? So with Whack, Women, Alcohol, Cash and Kicks, my first mixtape, I'll just tell you kind of what we were doing. So this was around the time, because I think Twitter came out, if I'm not mistaken, don't quote me. I think Twitter came out right around like 2009-ish, and I put out Whack in 2010, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So a lot of like the promotion that we were doing and shit like that was like on Twitter. It was like, yo, hashtag Whack. You know what I'm saying? Like we were going crazy with that. I had got mixtapes pressed up. I think I got, there's a spot here in Buffalo, man, that I used to go to. It's not open anymore. But I would go there and I would get the mixtapes. And I think we got like 200 of them done, all wrapped up. You know what I'm saying? Like with plastic on them. Few people actually still got it with the plastic on it too. It's crazy. Somebody, from time to time would send me a picture of it. It's crazy. Um, but I would get it and I would work. I used to work in the mall. I used to work at the Galleria Mall. And so that mall, we used to get a lot of traffic. And where I was working at, I was working at Finish Line at the time. Yo, I used to give my mixtapes out. I didn't even used to like sell them shits. Like
Mm,
I used to go to parties. I would go to like, bars and clubs. And I was just telling people like, yo, just, you know what I'm saying? I'm Jae Skeese. Yo, please just check my music out. The shit don't cost nothing. Yo, here you go. Here you go. Cause I was working. So it was like, I wasn't really even in it like for the money. I just like I knew I had some dope shit. I just needed people to hear this shit. I don't even care about, you paying me $5 to $10 for this mixtape. Like, nah, I need you to hear this shit. Just go home and or put this in your car,
Mm.
go listen to it. So that was like my biggest thing. So and then when I started like doing shows, it was because people had heard the music. You know what I'm saying? That was how I was getting my name out there between that. And again, I was doing the ciphers and shit at my job at the time. So that was how I was getting my name more and more out there, you know what I'm saying, over the years and, just putting myself out there for real. And then, again, when I started doing shows, I would have my mixtapes there. But again, I never was like trying to get paid from the mixtapes. I was just, yo, I just need you to hear me. I was always giving my music
It
out.
was basically like a business card almost.
Almost like a business card, yeah, pretty much. It was just like, yo, I just need you to hear it. You know what I'm saying? I want you to hear it. I want you to hear it. That was always my biggest thing because I knew, eventually what's gonna happen is somebody's gonna hear this shit and ask some questions. Yo, who the fuck is this dude? Like, yo, we need
Mm.
to we need to bring him in here. That was like my mindset. I don't know, like, maybe I was wrong because I could have been getting paid for these mixtapes and shit like that, but I wasn't even really paying anything to record my first couple mixtapes because when I was doing music like original beats and shit, my boy Mitch Arizona, he was producing all that shit. It was either, he was producing under Kenny B at the time. But he was producing a lot of my shit. And then like with the mixtape shit, I was recording that shit in my room. Like I used to engineer myself and all that. It's old videos. Like if you go on YouTube, you'll see it's a video called Grinding. It's G5GI. That's actually Camouflage Monk. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? He used to go under G5GI. He would rap under that name up until he started producing. He don't rap no more. But if you watch that video, it's G5GI and Jae Skeese. The whole video, we're actually in my room like at this one spot I used to stay at, and we would record everything right there in my room. You know what I'm saying? Like all the vocals and shit. So I wasn't paying anything to get these like tapes done or anything like that. Like I was just, bro, I'm about to record this shit. I'm about to bounce this shit
So
down myself.
your Bandcamp stuff wasn't properly engineered?
Nah, like I was
Or
doing
what?
all that shit myself.
Got
Like
it,
I was
got it,
I
got it.
was just really going off of how it sounded to me, and I was, bouncing that shit down. I was putting that
Mm.
shit on the CD. Yo, burn these. Yo, I need 100 of these, and that was how I was moving because I just wanted people to hear me so bad. You know what I mean?
Did you take any trips outside of Buffalo? Did you move around at all, or was it like mostly local stuff at that
We went to
stage?
like New York a couple times. We did a few shows, them bullshit coast to coast shows. I don't know if you remember Coast to Coast or
Uh,
whatever, but you
it
from
rings a
Canada,
bell. It
so.
does ring a bell. It does ring a bell.
Yeah, we used to do the bullshit coast to coast shows, and I think we went to Cleveland like once or twice, did some shows out there, shit like that. But we were always looking for those opportunities, man. And I think one of my first shows actually that I did after I put out Whack was I went down to North Carolina. My actually Weeze, his girlfriend at the time, she was going to Winston Salem State, and she was like, "Yo, you gotta enter this thing. Wale and Monica, they're gonna be coming for our homecoming, and they picking two people to come and open up for them and shit like that." And I went down there and actually won it. It was me and another girl from Syracuse, and she was a singer. I was rapping and shit. They actually picked me to win that shit, and I ended up going down there for that. And then it was like a few shows here and there, but primarily what I was doing was in Buffalo.
Got it, got it. So if I got it right, you could Conway first took notice of you in 2018. Was that right? Or was it
I want to say it might have been, well, because I had known Conway going back a few years, just from him pulling up to the store and stuff like that. I think in terms of what I was doing though musically, I want to say 2016. It was
2016?
2016. Yep.
And what did he say to you at that time? And what was your impression of Griselda at that time?
I mean, so I knew Wes going back to 2012, and I knew of Conway going back to probably 2011. Because or I don't, you know what? Don't even get me to quoting it because I don't know when American Greed came out, but I know I was in the club one time and somebody handed me an American Greed CD, and this was before I believe Conway got shot. So he was on the album cover. He had like the bandana on, and it's like on a dollar bill or whatever. So this man, I think he got shot in 2012, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I've known Conway going back to that. But so if you're asking like what my impression of Griselda was back then, I mean, they obviously were doing their thing, and Buffalo was real competitive. So it's like I'm looking at them like, well, shit, they doing their thing. I'm doing my thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm a
Mm.
fan. Obviously, I love what they doing. I remember the first time I heard Hitler Wears Hermes one. I was at the crib, and I think Wes came to my store, and he gave me the CD. I went home and I'm listening to it. I'm like, yo, nah, this shit is fire.
That was a great tape, man. That was great.
Listen, bro, I'm like, man, what the fuck is this? Who is this? You know what I'm saying? I call Billy Esco over to my house, and I'm like, yo, come over to my house, yo. I need you to hear this shit. I don't know who this dude is, but this shit is fire, and he's talking some shit that like I know you would fuck with. He came over, he's listening to it. So, I say all that to say I was a fan, going back a long, long, long time ago. You know what I'm saying? I always looked at them as some dudes that was like always super dope. But I also knew that they were a little older than me. And then when I really got to know who they were, I'm like, oh, these are dudes, they used to rap, you know what I'm saying, with DJ Shay. I would see,
Mm.
Buff City, they would be all on the posters and all that. I'm like, okay, I know who these dudes is. Like, you know what I'm saying? So they was older than me. So it was kind of like, yo, like, they doing their thing, obviously, and they know what they doing. But shit, I was trying to do what I was trying to do too. So, you know what I mean? It wasn't like, no
So that.
smoke, but,
Oh, go ahead. I apologize. Go ahead.
yeah, no, you go. But, basically what I'm saying is like the way I used to look at Griselda was like, yo, nah, them the older dudes, they a little older, they doing their shit. But, me and my homies, man, we had first class. And we had the wave at the time. Like, yo, we
Got it.
used to do our own shit. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm always talking about on records, yo, first class to the plane crash. I
Got
still
it.
rep it because, those that's my clique. That's my homies. You
So
know what I'm saying?
so it's not like at that point in time you're waiting to hear back from him or anything like that, or run into
Nah,
him
nah,
again.
nah,
Got
nah.
it. Got it. Got it.
It wasn't that type of thing because they respectfully they wasn't on yet. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
everybody was just trying to figure it out. You know what I mean? And again, like yo, whenever I would see Khan, when he would stop at my store and shit, like it was always love. Like shit, bro, yo, we got to get in that studio. But we had never did nothing. We had never got in the studio. But every time I would see him, we would have this same conversation. Yo, we got to get in the studio, and then but we just would never make it happen. So.
Co-
But it wasn't like I was waiting to hear from Khan or anything like that. Cause shit, I was on my grind just like he was on his grind.
Got it. Got it. So then you connected with him in 2021. I don't know if he reached out to you. You reached out to him. Um, what was it about what you were doing with your music that convinced him to sign you? What did that whole period look like? Was there a feeling out process, or or like what did that look like?
Yeah, so I mean, so we connected really about that, like on that type of time in 2020 actually.
Got it.
Um and again, it was right after I, left my job and, I was trying to figure that out and what I was gonna do next and everything. And so, he had tapped in. He actually tapped in with me. It was like on Facebook Messenger, and he was like, "Yo, Um, what's good with you? Yo, I'm starting this thing up. Like, you one of the dopest in the city. Like, I'm trying, trying to fuck with you. I'm like, shit, bro. Like, I just quit my job. Shit, nah. What we doing? Like, shit, let's do it. You know what I mean? Um, and so after that, I didn't hear from him for a while. Obviously he
Mm,
was, doing what he was doing. He was working on From King to a God. And then so the night when he was putting that album out, I got, a message from somebody like, yo, Khan wants you to pull up to his spot to come listen to the album. It's coming out tonight. Yo, pull up on him. I'm like, shit, I'm there. So I pull up. This was a few months later, and at this time, I had just put out. I think the week prior, I had just put out Asphalt Calligraphy, one of my projects.
right.
And so I pull up, and we listening to the album. It sounds phenomenal, And before I left, he's like, "Yo, just so you know, I'm still interested. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm fucking with you. Yo, just start pulling up over here. Let's record some music." So I was pulling up over to his spot. I was recording over there, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? That was when I met my manager now, Chad. Um, And so, Chad was recording me, and I did my first couple records and shit over there at his crib. Then we pulled up, we went down to New York, and we was in the studio down there, and I recorded actually a few songs for Abolish Uncertainties. I did a few of those down there. And then, over time, it was just kind of like, yo, we would take different trips, because Khan had a lot of stuff going on now that his album came out, From King to a God had came out, and it was like, yo, that joint had a major buzz. So he was moving around, and I would be there with him a lot of the time. And as I'm with him and doing different things, I'm recording music, and then he actually asked me to be on when he put out the deluxe, and he did Crack in the '90s. So now I'm on his album, so it's like, oh nah, like this is, what I'm saying, like
Hmm.
people started getting abreast to what I was doing, and then it was like, yo, it makes sense now to go ahead and kind of like sign me, because at this point, I'm doing records with you. People seeing me with you. It just kind of made sense. You know what I'm saying? And I had music that I was working on that was fire that he believed in. So that was kind of like the process, I guess you could say. I don't know exactly what his thought process was, but from my perspective, that was, how it kind of happened.
So he was down with the art, and I was wondering if it was the work ethic as well, and just how you were moving, because I
Yeah.
imagine it can't just be about the art with Conway.
Nah, yeah. I mean, he definitely has to fuck with it, because I mean, look at the caliber of artist he is. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
He's one of
yeah,
the best rappers in the game right now, if not the best. You know what I'm saying? In my eyes, anyway. But yeah, like I think the thing that stood out about me was all I needed was an opportunity. Like
mm,
I didn't ask for nothing else. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
I'm not asking. It was never a thing with me. Yo, shit, I gotta, get Skeese flight, or I gotta get Skeese, you know what I'm saying, a hotel room, or I gotta get Skeese a rental. No, all you gotta do is tell me that I can be there, and
mm.
I'm gonna make sure I get there. I don't give a fuck what's going on. Like I'm there. You know what I'm saying? And it was just my dedication to this shit, like regardless of what was going on, like I was gonna figure it out. You know what I'm saying? All I needed was my opportunity, and a yes. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
I've been told no so many damn times.
So I mean, I see you, globe trotting with Conway, on tours with him, right?
Hmm.
Radio appearances, things of that nature. At least, a couple of years ago, things like that.
Yeah.
Since being signed to Conway, I assume you get to see the game from a different vantage point now.
Hmm.
So, how much of the industry is true to what you thought it was versus what you're learning now, at least from your time with Drumwork and with Conway?
Oh, it's way different. It's way different. You know what I mean? They tell you not to meet your heroes because you won't be impressed. You know what I'm saying? It's like that holds true for the rap game for sure. A lot of it is like smoke and mirrors, and a lot of it is just
Yeah,
perception. You know what I'm saying? A lot
yeah,
of it is like you know, people do stuff, you think it's one thing. You think it's off of love, and you think it's off of, oh yeah, like this man, he did this because of this, and it's like actually this person did that because of this, and
yeah,
maybe they got paid, or maybe they got this, and it's like it's nothing wrong with it, because it's just like with wrestling, right? Like when you find out that wrestling is fake. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
when you 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, and you see fucking Undertaker choke slam somebody, you like, oh shit. But then when
yeah,
you find out, like, yo, he actually choke slammed him, but he did it in a way where he wasn't gonna hurt him, but he
yeah,
still laid in the ground. You like, oh, all right, well, it, it's showmanship. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? And that's what like 80% of the game is showmanship. Is smoke and mirrors. Is what I'm saying? People playing a character. But again, this is entertainment. That's what it's supposed to be. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah,
It's no different than watching a good movie. I just think with hip hop, we just got this perception of it because of what it was founded on and the way it was founded. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, we got real stories from real people, so that's what we want all the time. But some of this shit, it's like where hip hop is now. It's just kind of like, yo, it can't be that, because some of those stories, like some of this shit was just too real. Like you can't recreate a Biggie. You
yeah,
can't get that again. You can't get Tupac again. You can get elements of Tupac. You can get elements of Biggie. And that's what you see now. You see people, you see artists trying to like recreate. They want to be the next Young Boy. They want to be the next Pac. They want to have that essence. But you
Yeah.
can't recreate certain shit. But they're gonna do their best to try to because that's what sells. You get what I'm saying?
It's a blend. It's a blend of real
It's a
and
blend. It's a
entertainment.
blend.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a blend.
You know what shocked me? Like I was a fan of the Kendrick performance at the Super Bowl, personally, but
Yeah.
there was one of these reaction guys that said he was there, and then he's like, they cued in like stadium sound, like people making noise in the stadium that was louder than thing. I'm like, really? I'm like, damn. Like again, I was a fan, but like, talk a little bit about smoke and mirrors. You know what I mean? Or adding
Yeah. Yeah.
to the real part of it, right?
Yep.
So,
Yeah, I mean,
anyhow,
it's also it's like watching football now, man. Like part of me wants to say when when you watch these football games and the playoffs and shit,
yeah,
they paying the refs and they paying the players and shit. It's kind of like, man, when you watch what's going on, it's like, yo, nah, it ain't no way they not fixing some of this shit. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And I'm not saying that's what happened at the Super Bowl at all.
no, no, no,
I enjoyed that shit too, but
yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised either. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? If that came out and that was what happened, I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised because you don't know. It's like you almost just don't know what the hell is
I,
going on
I,
sometimes.
as far as what I see on IG, or like the social media or whatever, I'm at a point where I'm like, yo, this is probably smoke and mirrors until proven otherwise. That's like almost the stats I feel like
Hmm.
taking. It might be a bit harsh, but
Yeah,
I feel
yeah,
like I'm almost
it's
getting there,
crazy,
man.
man. It's crazy, man. But like I said, it's like um, since being in this shit, it's like you notice what's going on. You take notice of it, or this is what I do anyway. I just take notice of it. Okay, oh, that's what they're doing. All right,
Yeah,
cool. And then you just keep it moving, man, because
yeah,
you know, shit, you got to play the game, and that's the other part of the shit. It's like if you want to be in this shit. And this is what I'm learning. If you want to be in this shit, you have to play the game. You
yeah,
can't not play the game. Like it's gonna be certain elements of this shit just because of how it's set up now. Like you have to participate in it. Otherwise, you're not gonna. You don't get extra cool points for not participating in it.
yeah,
Like some people might say, okay, yeah, like he kept it all the way authentic. He did this. He did this. But it's like, yo, at the same time, it's like trying to be a rapper in 2025 and not having an Instagram. You get what I'm saying?
yeah,
There,
yeah.
like, you have to be an anomaly to be like to do that shit.
That's not possible. I don't think it's possible.
It's
It's not
like, does
possible.
Mock Hami have an Instagram?
Not sure.
I'm not sure if Mock has one, but I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't. But you gotta think now. Okay, who else can do that?
Yeah, I think the thing is, it's easy to sit on the sidelines and criticize as an analyst, but
Yeah,
shit, if you're playing the game, I mean that's a whole different level of sacrifice, courage, and all that. But it's easy to criticize on the sidelines for sure. You know what I mean? So
for sure. Yeah, you gotta play the game though. It's like elements of this shit. You have to.
yeah. So I mean, back to you, ground level tour. Again, this is your first headlining tour, right?
Hmm.
Um, I see you pass through Toronto. Somehow I couldn't attend. I do apologize for that. Of course, again, I saw you with Conway and Action Bronson at that show. Had you ever been to Canada before? I mean, you're right near the border. You ever traveled to Canada before, like for
Oh yeah,
holidays or
yeah,
anything?
yeah.
Or
Yeah, for sure, man. We used to go up there, from time to time. I had been up there for what's that shit, Carabana?
yeah,
I went to Carabana one time, and
got
I
it.
had the fucking illest time of my life up there at Carabana,
Right.
man. But I had been up there a few other times. I recorded a few songs up there. I got a song called Canadian Ships that I recorded in an apartment up there. Up there.
I peeped that tune, man. I wanted to see
Yeah.
what you had to say about Canadian ships, but nothing
Yeah,
about
nah, it was
Canadian
just
ships,
what it
just the
was.
vibe.
It was just I was up there, and actually the sample, I think the
Right.
song that was sampled was called Canadian Ships, and that was why it was
Oh, okay,
called that.
got it.
But yeah, so I had been up there a few times, man. The furthest that I had been before all this music shit was obviously up to Toronto and Niagara Falls and
Yeah,
everything. But
yeah,
since then, I came with Conway when he did his run up in Canada, man, and it was dope. Going to Edmonton and Calgary and all those different cities, man. Just seeing what it's like up there, man. It's different. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But
man.
it was dope, and like the fans up there, man, they showed like a different type of love. I don't know if it was better over in Europe in certain cities or
Right.
if it was better in Canada. Because Canada was it was
So
wild,
it's
man.
kind
It
of
was
neck
good.
and neck, the fandom.
It was kind of neck and neck. Like certain cities, like I remember, not Edmonton, or was it Edmonton? Victoria. That it was the first show on that run, man, and it was, I think, because not everybody from our crew was there. I remember that show being crazy. That was the first show on that run, man, and I had my set and I came out and did my thing. It was a crazy show. It was crazy energy. It was crazy energy. I'll never forget in London, Ontario.
Mm,
Crazy energy. And also in Montreal, there was crazy energy up there as well.
yeah, yeah. You're saying you don't get similar energy in the States in different cities? They take it more for granted?
I mean, so I'll say this, right? On the ground level tour, it's different because of where my starting point is and where I am in my career, as opposed to going places with Conway.
Mm,
I feel like in the US, when I'm on tour with Conway, it's great energy. Don't get me wrong. The fans are great. The fans, they show a lot of love. They buy the merch. It's love, right? Especially in certain cities, man. When we go to New York City, it's always a crazy show. We go to LA, it's always a crazy show, guaranteed. Um, what's some Chicago, always a crazy show, like no matter what, right? And I'm not saying anything bad about any other cities either. Like y'all all show love, but over in Europe, that's a
yeah,
whole bro. They love that shit over there, bro. Because I
yeah,
just feel like they just have a different appreciation, man, for emceeing and just the culture, because they don't get it all the time. That's the other
exactly. Yeah,
part of it. It's like, coming from where we come from to go over there and put on a show and do our thing over there, they like, man, this is the best shit because they don't get it all the time. You know what I'm saying?
and Griselda's not there that often either, right? It doesn't
That's
happen
what I'm
a lot.
saying. Like
Yeah,
they don't get it all the time. So,
yeah.
to go over there, it's like it's extra special for them. So, they show a different type of love, man, over there.
So I see the first stop in your tour was your hometown Buffalo, obviously, and there was a lot of love shown from the video that I saw.
Yeah.
What did it mean to you to start the tour there?
Man, it was everything, bro. And I'm gonna tell you why. There's a few reasons why. The first reason is because uh, where it was. It was at Rec Room here in Buffalo, which is on Chippewa. Um,
Is that
and
like
for hip,
an arcade slash like dining place,
so
like a
there's
big
like a bunch
complex?
of like bars and restaurants down
Right,
Chippewa.
right.
But you don't get. And this is what I failed to mention earlier, about Buffalo, and I meant to say it, but it slipped my mind. Buffalo is one of the most like segregated cities in America, right? In North
I've
America, or
heard,
I'm
I've
sorry, in
heard,
the U.S.
I've heard.
So it's like certain areas you're just not gonna get certain things happening, and
Mm,
Chippewa is one of those areas where you're just like, you almost don't hear of hip hop shows going on, like on Chippewa, right?
got it.
On top of the fact that like I was able to headline it. Like in Buffalo, we get a lot of showcases. People put together showcases, and it's like a bunch of artists, and people come out. They come out and support, and they rock out. But this was my headlining show. This was my first headlining show in my own city, um, on Chippewa. You get what I'm saying? So that's the first thing, right? And then I think the second thing was, you know, it was like an overwhelming amount of love in the building that night. You know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't expecting, because Buffalo is tough, man, when it comes to getting support and getting people to come out of their house to come and listen to you rap. Like
Right,
that's not like
right.
that's just how it is. They don't want to hear that shit because for a long time the stigma of being a rapper from Buffalo was, if you a rapper from Buffalo, you trash
Mm,
because nobody had ever made it from here.
I
and
mean,
that
Toronto was
stigma.
like that for decades
Yeah,
too. That's
and
I
that
know. Yeah,
stigma just kind of
yeah.
stuck for a long time. Like I've been booed off. I'm not gonna say countless stages, but I've been booed off of a few stages in Buffalo, man. And not because I didn't do my shit. It's because if you from Buffalo, they wasn't trying to hear that shit. So to put on a show, we actually didn't sell it out, but we came really, really close to selling it out. So to be able to do that, to be able to put on that show of that magnitude as well, man, to bring out Conway, to bring out, Big Crit, to have Brother Tom Sos there,
Oh,
to have,
they were all there.
yeah,
Wow.
I brought Big Crit out. Mid set, I brought, First Class out, my crew, my homies, they all came out and did their shit. OG Soul, Drop Dead, Mitch Arizona was DJing, Billy Esco, you know what I'm saying? Like they were all there. Again, Big Crit came out during my set. Conway came out during my set. He did his shit. Goose by the Way came out. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody came out and did their thing. So to do that, man, it was everything, man. Like I damn near wanted to cry after the show, man. It
Wow.
was it was beautiful. You know what I'm saying?
Board Wheels Trucks in the comments here just pulled up some tracks on Spotify to hear your stuff. Love it. That's what this is about, man. Check out his music. Well
Hey,
supported,
salute,
man.
salute, Born Wills, man. I appreciate you, bro. Thank you.
So, so did you know that you were getting that kind of love from the city, or do you feel it more came like once you're under Conway's wing and people saw you in a certain light, or did you feel it was kind of culminating even prior to that?
Nah, I knew like so. Again, I don't want to just talk down on the city because it's not that. It's not. I've always got love, you know, from the city for sure. Like it's not a thing where, people just like shitting on me all the time. But I'm just speaking on a more general, like broad sense. It's hard here. You know what I'm saying for hip
Yeah,
hop. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to get support here. It's hard to get people to really want to listen to you. I think prior to Conway signing me and the association, um, I did get support, because I would do a lot of different events here in the town. I would do, shows. People knew what I do. You know what I'm saying? They know what I do. They would know of it. But I do think once I signed to Conway, it did get heightened a little bit. Um, but it wasn't because people didn't know, it just made it a little more official. Like people know Conway because obviously what he's done with Griselda and starting his own label. So it's like okay, like we know Skeese can rap, we know Skeese loves this shit, but okay, Skeese is taking the next step now. You know what I'm saying? And
right.
I think that's what the association and the signing kind of brought to it.
Got it. A little extra gloss on it, obviously, right?
There you go. There you go.
So So watching the video, you put up these cool mini docs about your tour. I watched a few of them. I think from your Toronto stop, you mentioned something along the lines of taking a leap of faith to do this tour now rather than waiting, believing in yourself. What was the genesis of putting this together? Like, are you funding it yourself? If you care to share, it
Yeah.
almost sounded like things were telling you not to do it, but you're like, screw it, I'm going to do it. That's sort of how it sounded.
Yeah.
Do you care to tell us sort of the genesis of this tour?
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of give you a brief breakdown of it. So what I was saying by that was, yeah, like I just came off of obviously the tour with Conway where I was direct support. That was the first time I did that. So we did 13 cities for the Slant Face Killer tour. And my manager again, he was, we got back. He's like, man, you know what? We're gonna work on getting you, a show here in Buffalo. And the show here in Buffalo did so well. It was kind of like, and then we did a show in New York, and it didn't do as well as Buffalo, but it was kind of like, man, like, if we can do a show here, we can do a show in New York. Yeah, we can definitely do a show like almost anywhere because you got fans
Mm,
everywhere. So now it's just a matter of figuring out who we can get out in these cities and just see what happens. To answer your question, yeah, like I'm doing all this shit. Like the ground level tour has been funded out of my pocket. Like,
wow.
you know what I'm saying? Like we don't have any sponsors. It's literally it's literally me. You know what I'm saying? Me and my manager. We've found creative ways to, reach out to these venues, put shows together, in these different cities. Obviously funding the travel, and paying my DJ, and having merch there, and it's not perfect, you know what I'm saying? But I think the thing is, I've been on the road the last few years, and it's like, okay, when am I going to take the next step? What does the next step look like? And I think with a lot of stuff, man, and even with earlier we talked about how I quit my job and then I kind of jumped into this. It's kind of like, man, the thing that I've realized more than anything is you really have to make yourself uncomfortable in order
Yeah.
to get comfortable. Like you have to take that leap of faith and just kind of see where you land at. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we did with this tour, man, with the ground level tour. It's like, let's just see what happens, and it's not going to be easy. And as you probably saw in some of the vlogs, like my DJ, the one show, he got sick as hell. He was throwing up and shit. He made it through the show, and we've had other setbacks, you know what I mean, throughout this whole process. And that's the part that people don't see. Like, people don't see when we're trying to figure out how we're gonna get here, and we might need to figure out plane tickets for this person, or whatever the case is, whatever comes up, whatever happens. Like in Chicago, we had, Chicago was a whole another ordeal. I don't even want to get into it, but you're going to meet adversity in anything you do, but it's about how you respond to it. It don't matter, the problems that you meet along the way. It's all about how you respond to it, and that's what this whole tour has been. It's just been a learning experience. I'm not even like, there's been nothing bad about this tour. It's just been more so just a learning experience, and just saying, okay, like, this happened, but fuck it, let's figure it out. You know what I'm
I
saying?
I,
And
I
that's
want.
life period. That's life period. You know what I'm saying? It's a
Yeah.
life lesson. You know what I mean?
It's like life accentuated with music. You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
well, I consider this show a show for artists first and foremost, and then super fans. But I want what you're saying to inspire other artists to make the jump. At some point you got to make the jump and invest in yourself. You know what I
100%.
mean? So
100%.
so yeah, man. So so yeah, just bear with me here. So you're in a rare position where you're being signed to one of the biggest names in hip hop. Evidence with the features that you have that showed up to your show that are on your ground level project. I also heard you mention that the hip hop industry is kind of like high school, where everyone sort of knows each other and works together. Also, you're working with some pretty established names. How does it feel to rub shoulders with the people you're rubbing shoulders with? Do you feel like it makes your goal, your dream within arm's reach, or does it remind you how much more work you have? Like, I would imagine it could fuck with your head potentially. I don't know, but
Yeah.
is that a good question? I don't know. I've never been in your shoes, so I thought I'd ask.
Nah, man, it's interesting because it's like, you think these people are just larger than life a lot of the time
Right,
before you meet them. And 9 times out of 10, man, they're regular people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, man. It's At first, for me, there were like certain rooms I had been in, where it was like, yo, I can't believe I'm here. Like, what the hell am I? I
right,
remember when I met Mary J. Blige, it was like, yo, I've been hearing Mary J. Blige between CDs and radio and TV, and like, now she's right here, and I got to tell her, like, yo, my mom loves you. Like, my mom loves you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just crazy. And it used to kind of blow my mind, but I think now, and there's another part to this, but I think now, um, it's like I'm supposed to be in those rooms,
mm,
because otherwise I wouldn't be there. So it doesn't really. It's cool. Like, it's a cool experience usually meeting these different people, because normally they're really, really cool. But I think the other part that goes along with it is a lot of those people that I was meeting at first were because I was like, tagging along with Conway. I would be in the room because he's in the room. But I think now what I'm starting to, kind of what I'm experiencing now is I'm gaining relationships not based off of Conway. I'm getting relationships based off of Jae Skeese. So it's a different type of dynamic between me and whoever else I'm meeting, as
Right.
opposed to before I'm just there because I'm the homie. Where now, people are willing and wanting to work with me and meet me and build with me. So it's a different type of thing now, from that standpoint. And I think it's cool, man, to meet other people who take their craft as serious as I take it. And also I aspire to be as successful as some of these people. So it's good to kind of build with those people and forge those relationships. And just know that I'm in these places, you know what I'm saying? I'm in a higher place.
Right.
I look at everybody as human beings, man. Like I don't think I'm better than anybody. I just know how to express myself in a way that other people, they know how to do it too. It's just that they don't know how to do it in the way that I do it because I'm an individual and so are they, right?
Yeah.
So, I just kind of I take that approach with everybody that I meet. Like, yo, we're all human beings at the end of the day. We're no different for real. We all got blood running through our veins. We all get up in the morning and do whatever the hell we do. You know what I'm saying? But I just think, to answer your question, it's dope to meet these people because, they take their craft as serious as I take it.
So
And it shows through the work.
it sharpens your mind towards your goal, keeps your mind sharp.
Yeah, it just, I mean, it does somewhat, but I just think, man, I'm so just self motivated because I just
As
want
it
more.
is.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, it's cool meeting these people, but I just know, like, shit, at the end of the day, whether I meet people, whether I forge relationships or not, I got a job I got to do. I know what I'm trying to do. So,
Got it. Got it. So I wanted to have a little bit of fun and quote some bars. Usually I don't quote lyrical bars. I quote more life bars from the artist. But you
uh,
really killed it. Are you okay with that? You still good for time or
man,
you
go
good?
go with your
Okay,
shit,
dope,
bro. I'm
dope, dope,
here.
dope. Dope, dope,
Yeah,
dope.
you good.
Dope, dope. So I posted that a segment of that freestyle, which was fire about it. It was like 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Leakers from a few years ago. You're there with Conway. So I'm just gonna quote these bars. I'll try not to butcher it, and then I'm gonna ask you a few things about them. So you're like, I came to carry the title, bearing rivals. My competitive spirit mirrors that of Larry and Michael, delivering the truth like they're missionaries carrying the Bible. Young visionary, words paint pictures for recreation. That's Pictionary. They get it clearly. They're saying with bars I've gone bonkers. Terminating beats with machine, I'm Sean Connor. I let my light shine to grow my green like it's flora and fauna. Word to my mama. Growing up, I wasn't foreign to trauma. No filet mignon, it was cube steaks. Holes in the back of my denims held by a shoelace. Now I've arrived years later after my due date. Lock this beat in my scope, let the flow ride like toothpaste. That was fucking crazy, man. That was tight, bro.
Hey, thank you,
So
brother. Thank you.
so when I hear rhymes, I see all the visuals in my head, and I
Mhm.
wanted to break this down and ask how much of this was like planned in your writing versus it happened by accident. So so you're like terminating beats with machine. I'm Sean Connor. I let my light shine to grow my green like it's flora and fauna. So I see a robot skull in my head. You know what I'm saying? A Terminator. Then
Mhm.
light hitting it, and then it's like turning to like green. Life is coming out of it now, sort of humanizing the robot. Is that a juxtaposition you would have wrote for, or it just happens by accident, like
You know what's
something like
funny?
that?
Shit like that, like, I can guarantee you no one, like, no writer ever thinks like that. But it's really cool to know that that's where your mind took
Yeah.
you.
But did
You
you
get what I'm
plan
saying?
that or it just happened? Because I
Nah, that
know,
wasn't planned at all. Like,
right,
it was more so like, when I was penning that, because I remember penning that bar, and like, what my thought process was. I just was trying to say the illest shit in the world. Like,
yeah,
the way that freestyle even came about, man, was just crazy, because I technically wasn't supposed to do it, but I just knew that I needed to be prepared to do it just in case.
yeah.
And it was one of those. So I just wanted to make sure I had the illest shit I could think of penned up and ready to go.
I think when you're a high level writer, you get those freebies that they make those connections. Like you don't even plan to do it. You're like,
Yeah, right.
word to my mom, I wasn't foreign to trauma. So when you say that, I see flowers, flora and fauna, and then I see sort of a mother, sort of motherly, like and flowers kind of goes together. Then you're like, I
Hmm.
wasn't foreign to trauma, another juxtaposition where uh, foreign to trauma, which was a juxtaposition to sort of being in paradise with the flora and fauna. I don't know, man. I'm getting nerdy, but I just wanted to know if it was planned. But it sounds like you were just going,
Nah,
and
yeah,
those
nah, I was
connections
just
just
going,
happened.
but again, for me, that's dope to know that that's where that took you. It's no different than like reading a book. I
Yeah,
love reading because when you read, you can kind of formulate your own picture in your head of whatever the author is telling you. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? So it's not going to look the same to anybody, but we get the same general idea, but it's never going to look the same for each person. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. And then you're like, now I've arrived years after my due date. Lock this beat on my scope. Let the flow ride like toothpaste. Obviously, scope, to freshen your breath, flow ride, toothpaste. But then I picture like expired toothpaste. We all got expired toothpaste past its due
Hmm.
date. So again, how much was planned versus it just happened.
Nah, that just happened.
That's
But that's
crazy.
dope. Yeah, that just
Yeah,
happened.
yeah, that's dope, bro. That was a fire verse, man. So
Appreciate that, bro.
yeah, so wanted to talk about your discography. So for me, I wanted to start with Abolished Uncertainties again from
Mhm.
2023. I personally think that's your crown jewel so far in terms of
Yeah,
projects.
yeah.
You agree with that? That's sort of
I mean, I love all my projects, man, for different reasons. I think Abolish Uncertainties is probably going to be the best one just because it took my whole life to make it.
right. So I heard you consider that your debut, but you got a lot of projects or mixtapes on Bandcamp. So what makes this one your debut?
I would say it was the first. I would call it my debut because this was the first project where I was signed to a label. I had a budget behind it, and I told my full story like on that, pretty much my whole story on the album. So I kind of give it that title because it's like, yo, this is like the closest thing that I'll have to a studio album until I make a studio album.
Hmm, got it. Yeah, man. I just thought like it was like really anchored in like classic hip hop. It's not like just old Prebo beats. I don't mean classic in that sense, but it could be traced back to like classic hip hop, jazzy vibes, soulful vibes. I feel that that's a great home for what you do personally, man. So
Yeah,
so
for
yeah.
sure.
Um yeah. And so Show Rock wanted to talk about burner phones. I know you mentioned that. I take it burner phone was inspired by Nas I Gave You Power,
Yeah.
but this is about a burner phone being used to make drug deals, etc. But is there going to be a part two to that? Is that like a continued story type thing? I felt like there might be opening for a part two, maybe.
It's funny you asked that. I've thought about it, but I kind of was like, I didn't know where to take it from there. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Like, it would be interesting, but I haven't gave it much thought because I think my thing was, yeah, I would love to kind of keep the story going, but I got so locked in on what I was doing with Eakin and just
right,
continuing to build that, legacy and that lineage. That was like more important to me than Burner Phone because I felt like, when Burner Phone came out, and I'm not doing it for the response, but I just felt like, man, it just didn't get the love that it was supposed to get. So I wasn't
right.
sure if I did do a part two, would people even not understand it, but would it be almost like warranted? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, 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 yeah,
like,
yeah.
does it
It'd
make
have to
sense
be
to do a
a
part two?
hardcore fan, a hardcore fan.
You would have to be a super hardcore fan. And it's like,
Yeah,
what Lupe does with the cool. You know what I'm saying? If you follow
yeah,
that story, and I love it. By the way, like because I'm a nerd when it comes to Lupe, but I just was like, does it make sense to do that? Because I got such a great response from, Ekin 2 and then Ekin 3, Ekin 4. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, nah, I got to keep that going because that's
yeah.
something that people look forward to.
I
Um,
definitely would say that's more critical for sure for your
yeah, for
brand, for
sure.
sure,
For sure.
for sure. But and then Out Here with Freeway, just thought I'd mention that was a banger. I understand there's a bit of a story with how that came together,
Yeah,
you and
right, right.
Freeway.
Yeah, so I was in the studio. I had my two verses and the hook on there, and Beans and Free, they were here in Buffalo. They were doing a show here in Buffalo, and just so happened to pull up to the studio. Conway was coming to the studio to come and meet them, I was already there. And so we're in the studio waiting for Conway to get there, and somebody was like, "Yo, Skeese, play him your album." All right, so I play it, and I'm going through the tracks, and I'm Out Here comes on. I see Free, over in the corner, knocking his head the whole time it's on, and something told me like, "Yo, just ask him." You know what I'm saying? I'm like, "Yo, I mean, I see you rocking with this joint, bro. Like,
Right.
I got room for you on there if you want to throw a verse on that joint." It's like, "Shit, play it back, play it back." Like, "Shit, yeah, load it up." I bet, shit, get that session. So, that was it was like kind of history from there. So, shout out to Free, man. Like he's been on a crazy run, and I've been a fan of Freeway, man, since Philadelphia Freeway, man. So,
Yeah.
getting him on my first album, that shit was everything for real.
And I really want to stress, if you haven't heard this album, definitely check it out. It's like you got so many soundscapes on there, and like you said, it's like a roller coaster, but it's cohesive. But I really think that's the crown jewel currently in his catalog. So definitely check it out. I wanted to ask you, does Conway give you any creative input on your projects at all? Like, does he say, do this or don't do that, or just any pointers? And another question I want to
Um,
ask you, I noticed some of your projects come out under Drumwork and
mhm,
some don't. So I'm just
mhm,
wondering how that all might tie together, if at all.
mhm. So, to answer your first question, so Conway for my drumwork projects, he executive produces those projects.
Got it.
So creatively, it's more of a thing where I'm I'm creating, I'm sequencing, and then I'm bringing him a nearly finished product, and he might say, "Okay, I like this. Yo, maybe you should move this song here, or maybe you should move this song there, or whatever the case is." You know what I'm saying? He adds his sprinkle on there and his suggestions. And but in terms of if we're talking about writing, or if we're talking about, yo, you should put this hook on there, or you should like, it's not that type of thing. It's not that
Got it.
type of thing. I'm more
Got it.
so bringing him a finished product and saying, "Hey, what do you like? How do you feel about this?" You
And
know?
he might decide if he really gets behind it and wants to give any input, type of thing, perhaps. I
Yeah,
guess
yeah, for
I guess
sure.
that's what it is.
But I think
Got,
I think the thing with Khan is, man, like he genuinely like rocks with what I do. So it's like, 9 times out of 10, he's gonna rock with whatever I bring him. You know what I'm saying?
right,
Because
right, right.
he knows how serious I take my craft. You know what I'm saying? I'm not bringing him no bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Especially if I'm like, "Yo, I need you to hear this. Like, let me sit down with you and play this for you." Um, your second question. So how it kind of works is, and Griselda kind of spearheaded this. They were putting out music, under Griselda, under, Shady, obviously, but
Yeah,
after they signed their deal, their albums didn't come out right after they signed. They spent time building up their name and building up their buzz. So it's kind of similar to that. Like, when I get into these like certain situations where I'll do like a project with, Superior or Big Ghost or whatever the case is, I'm still building up my name, and I'm still working on becoming a household name, and, getting people to be more and more aware of what it is that I'm doing. So, you know, I just think because of the nature of how Conway and Griselda and Westside and Benny, how they kind of came up in the game, Khan doesn't have an issue with me, doing these little side projects to
got it.
kind of continue to build up my name. You know what I'm saying? And when it's time to put out, that Drumwork album, then, we go ahead and put out the Drumwork
He
album and do that.
obviously he understands the independent spirit
There you go.
to keep
There you
to
go.
keep leaving.
And
Got
salute
it.
to Conway for that too, man, because, he doesn't technically have to do that because what I'm saying, I'm under contract with him and we
Right.
got business to do, so he doesn't technically have to do that. So but he's not tripping because again, that was how he kind of came up in the game.
Got it. So thanks for sharing that with us. So in 2022, you dropped Authenticity Check, produced by Big Ghost. Believe it or not, I've interviewed Big Ghost in a roundabout way, and
Word.
I exchange with him in the DMs at this point. It's an honor to actually. Um,
Okay.
Usually, people say when Big Ghost reaches out to you, you're doing something right, at least in the underground type of thing.
Mhm.
How did that come together, and what was the significance of that Big Ghost project, like in your overall journey here?
Yeah. I mean, it was like a thing, man. Randomly, Big Ghost had followed me one day. I think this was after I can't even remember what came out, man. It was something that came out though. This might have been like around La Machina, around that time, and I had like the three features on there. And he followed me one day. I'm like, oh shit, this is Big Ghost, because I knew of Big Ghost, man, going back to when he used to blog and he would fucking talk about Drake all kind of
Drake,
ways.
yeah,
I used to
yeah,
sit there and read the blogs and be cracking up. Um, and people thought it was Ghostface Killer and shit. So I'm like, oh shit, this is Big Ghost. So I immediately followed back and immediately DM'd him. Yo, shit, man, salute. Thank you for the follow. I'm a big fan. Like, obviously I know the work that you did with Griselda, man. Like, I'm a big fan, bro. Like, salute. That was all I was basically saying. And he
right,
actually hit me back and he's like, yeah, man, like, I see what you're doing with Conway. Like, it's dope. Like, we gotta, work on something. And I'm like, shit, whenever, like, let's get to it. And that was like kind of how the relationship was formed, man. And we started working, we started putting together some music, and you know uh we did our first couple records, and they sounded dope. And that was like pretty much what it was, man. Like, that it was it was nothing else to it, man. And
got it.
I
I
had
mean,
the ideas.
it's all done online, remotely, anyways, right? So
Yeah, it was all
yeah,
done online, man. Like, we didn't
yeah,
have any phone calls or
yeah,
anything like that. Like, he's a great guy, man. Like, from what I can tell, he's very supportive. Um, he reaches out, what I'm saying? I reach out to him from time to time as well. But yeah, that was like the nature of it, man. And I just think he's, someone who really appreciates hip hop, and he wants to make, you know, projects that reflect that. And it just kind of aligns with what I was trying to do, or what I'm trying to do also. And I think in the grand scheme of things, it definitely brought a certain validity to who I am and what I was, what I'm trying to do, because of, again, who he is in the underground and who he's associated with. So to kind of get one of those projects with Big Ghost, especially so early in, my career and trajectory, man, like, that was a big thing for me, man. Like, a lot of people still come to me like, yo, that's like my favorite project that you put out is, the Big Ghost joint, mainly because of the production. Obviously, I do what I do lyrically, but, the production on it is phenomenal. And it's, it goes a few different ways. So it was like one of those things, man. Like, damn, I was like kind of fortunate to get that, when I think about the way that things have played out in the last 4 years. It's like that was like one of those building blocks that was like really super important.
got it. And for those that don't know, Big Ghost keeps his identity hidden, so yeah, um, yeah, I'd say that's in your top three. You got some really good projects. I put that in your top three, maybe top three or
Word,
four.
man. Word. Thank you. Me
Um,
too.
so in 2023, you also dropped Pain Provided by Profit. I think that was after Authenticity Check, right?
Yeah,
So I got
so
it right.
Pain Provided Profit was after Authenticity Check, and then it was also right before About Uncertainties.
Got it. So busy year. So that was with you and Conway on that. Who produced that, by the way? Is it various producers or
Yeah, there was a few producers on there. We had Gray Matter on there. Gray Matter did majority of it, actually, if I'm not mistaken. Ill Tone did Promise. And if I'm not mistaken, I think everything else was all gray matter. If I'm not mistaken, again, sometimes sometimes my memory is kind of bad, but if I'm not mistaken, that whole project except for one beat or maybe two, yeah, it's two beats, because Metallic Fives was a producer that I met. I think we were in Amsterdam, and his mind. I mean, his name is slipping my mind right now. But he did Metallic Fives, and then Illtone did Promise, and then everything else, if I'm not mistaken, was done by Gray Matter.
Got it, got it. Soul to souls, like I appreciate Ski's transparency of the hard work from the ground level. Some musicians focus on money, they have, but you hear the struggle and the highs and lows. We appreciate you giving us the real deal, man. So thank you, man. Um,
Salute, man, salute.
so So yeah, I wanted to ask you. Obviously, you're about to do a project with Conway. I imagine he's could be an imposing figure in the studio, in the booth, perhaps. You know, he's got this legend behind him. He's got this strong storyline, etc., etc. I think you did a great job. You know, being neck and neck with each other, for lack of a better word. But
Mm.
did you question your composure at all going into a project like that, or you were just super like comfortable from the get go? You knew you were gonna do you, and that's it.
So, for me, so and that this was at, I'm not gonna say a formative time because we obviously did the project in, it was like 2022, right? Um, so early when I first signed to Conway, and I can be pretty transparent about this. It was like, after I signed and everything, we would be in these studio sessions. Primarily it would be me, Conway, Love the Genius, and because we had music together. Obviously we had like Crack in the '90s, we had Sister Abigail, and a few other records. And the big thing for me back then, especially when I first started coming around, was I just wanted to be the best, like out of the three. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
I wanted to have the best verse on everything, and I just wanted to out rap them, which is really hard to do, by the way, because Love the Genius is a phenomenal lyricist. Conway is Conway. He's like, the thing with Conway is he's a great rapper, but also he's one of the best ever, right? But also he's one of them dudes that like, yo, once he hear your verse, he's like, nah, I'm gonna be better than your shit. I don't give a
but
fuck.
he prefers
You got.
he
He's gonna
prefers
make you put him last. You get what I'm saying? And
okay,
not a lot of rappers, like it's rappers that want to be that, but he's one of them rappers that like he wants to be that and he's going to be that.
wait
You
wait
get what I'm
wait wait
saying?
he wants to write last after he hears everything, or
Nah,
he
no, no,
wants
no,
to be
no, no,
last
no.
on the
That's
track?
not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm
Okay,
saying.
okay,
What
okay,
I'm
okay.
saying is what I'm saying is when if you record and he hears your verse and you kill that shit, in his mind, he's like, nah, I'm gonna have a better verse.
Right,
And then he's not just
confidence,
gonna say
obviously.
it, he's gonna go and do it.
Yeah,
You get what I'm saying?
right. Got it. Yeah,
So that's the thing with Conway, man. But so, again, it's hard to out rap Conway. It's hard to out rap Love the Genius. And that was my mindset for a long time. And I remember I was talking with Con one day and he was like, what are you gonna do to separate yourself from me in love? Because we had did a few songs at this point, and it was like, you could tell that that was like my mindset. I was focused on that, and I called Weez, actually. I called Weez. I got on the phone with Weez, and I'm like, "Yo, Khan just said this to me. You know what I'm saying? What do you think I can do? What do you think I should do?" And we was talking about that shit for like an hour, man. He was like, "Yo, you just gotta be the best you."
yeah.
And I'll
That
never
that
forget that shit. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be the best you, because it's not about who had the best punchlines and who had the best metaphors and who had the illest rhyme scheme. Because you're gonna do that anyway. Like when you're a good rapper, you're gonna do that anyway.
yeah
The thing that you gotta focus on is what is gonna set you apart. And the thing that's you don't even have to figure that out. You just have to be you.
yeah
You have to find the way to be the best you. If I'm Jae Skeese on every record, if I'm truly authentically Jae Skeese, nobody's gonna be better than me because I'm being me,
yeah.
as opposed to trying to, you know what I mean?
You,
Oh, I heard Conway say this, so I'm gonna say, oh, I gotta say
the
this.
the goal, I think, should be to leave your signature on every track.
There
That's
you go. Exactly,
agree.
exactly, exactly, 100%. So knowing that. because by that point, when we said we were going to do pay and provided profit, it was like knowing that, okay, now I don't have like I'm not feeling uncomfortable when I'm in the studio with Conway, because I know what Conway is gonna do. He's gonna be Conway.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? I know he's gonna go crazy. Like that's not even a he gonna go crazy every time. Like
yeah,
that's no question. But what can I do on my end to be the best me? I gotta figure out, man. When I'm on the track with Conway, I gotta figure out how I'm gonna stand out.
got it.
And the way I stand out is by being Jae Skeese. You get what I'm saying?
You guys shine for completely different reasons, but it went together,
and
but
and
so
and that's why
yeah,
it was very imperative for me to like to have that conversation with my bro, like to figure that out, because before that, again, it was just me trying, man, I'm gonna just have the best verse. I'm gonna say this, and it ain't, I know if I say this, they ain't gonna think of nothing iller than that, but that's not what it's about.
yeah. So I know we talked about Testament of the times you dropped that with Superior, producer out of Germany. I've had a great interview with him. That's
Yeah.
why I'm talking to Jay right now. How I really got into his music. I think that's in your top three, but that I really like that project. Now I also heard that was supposed to be ground level,
Yeah, right, correct.
which you would care to tell us about sort of what happened
Yeah.
there?
So what ended up happening was, so we had did the deal, we did the business side of everything for it, and pretty much it was like 80% done. You know what I'm saying? I had recorded a lot of music already, and it was like cool, like yo, in my head, like yo, we're ready to go. But I think, and no, let me not take it there, but I think, after talking to my guy Chad, man, it was like, yo, this project is great, but I think we wanted to just find a way to like go in different directions and show that versatility that I have,
Yeah,
and
I
really
hear
kind of
you.
highlight that, you know what I mean? And we ended up still using O2 Yale Cup Champs, which was originally gonna be on Testament of the Times. Um, but I'm sorry, it was gonna be on Testament of the Times. It ended up on Ground Level, right? The joint with Dizza and Shay Noir. Um, but yeah, like that was like the whole thing. We just kind of wanted to, with Ground Level, when we started making music again, we wanted to just show like, yo, okay, we can go a few different directions with, different producers, as opposed to making an album where it was like one producer and it was kind of like one sound.
I
And I
I
think that was like the thing. You know what I
I
mean?
I understand what you're saying. I thought it was a great project, one of my
Mhm.
favorites personally, but I based on your objective to present more diversity in your sound and like be
Yeah.
known for that, I
Mhm.
completely get that point.
Yeah. Yep.
Um, and I'll be honest with you, like we all build impressions of artists when we hear stuff. We can't help it. We're all human, right?
Mhm.
The Jae Skeese I heard on Union Twos and what I started thinking of you, I would have never thought, oh wait, this guy can make an abolished uncertainties
Yeah.
or a ground level. I wouldn't have even. I was like, I had to like go, whoa, like wow, this is the same guy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
so
Nah,
yeah,
it's totally, it's two different worlds, man. But again, that's just what I kind of strive to do. I don't ever want to be put into a box, man. And I know,
yeah,
when I hear beats and when I hear, certain shit, it's like I know what I can bring to any track. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like, so that was like kind of my mindset. But I really, man, I love Testament of the Times, because it's one of those projects where you get from me where it's like I'm in a certain mode and I'm going through certain shit, and it's like you're getting exactly what I'm going through
Yeah.
on that whole album, man. And it's just very telling of the time that I'm living in my life.
And I mean, when you listen to the content, it's the same content. It's just the soundscape, right? And
Just, yeah,
sort
it
of
just
the
sounds different.
cadence. Yeah.
Yep. Hmm.
So yeah, man. So then you have ground level. Yeah, sorry, ground level, and I feel like you're really swinging for the fences. This dropped 2024 last year. You're going for big sound. You know what I'm saying? Like, it reminds me of when Kanye or Ye said he wants to make stadium music. I don't know if you remember that statement. At some point, he
Hmm.
said that.
Hmm.
I'm not
Yeah, I
saying you're
remember that.
trying to do that, but it feels like you're intentionally trying to make music that can capture a larger audience. Do you agree with ground level?
Yeah, no, 100%. Again, that's kind of what we wanted to do. Even with the production, with the features, with the ways that I kind of attacked the hooks, and the ways that I kind of put the songs together. You know what I'm saying? Like everything about
Yeah.
it was, we wanted to show like Skeese leveled up. At the end of the day, Skeese went from being this underground rapper to someone that could be considered, to be in the mainstream. That's what we really wanted to do.
And I definitely see, again, I analyze this stuff maybe too much, but I see that arc in your projects. You know what I mean? When
Hmm.
you go through authenticity check, testament of the times, then abolish uncertainties, and then your latest. Like I see that arc
Yeah.
person. So on that you got features like Big Crit, Sauce Walker, Davey, Smoke Dizza, Shay Noir, Project Pat. I mean, a wish list of artists, which is dope.
Yeah.
What did it mean to you to get all these features? These are people you've looked up to, I guess, or some of them.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, it meant everything, because what I wanted to really do was, again, I wanted to be versatile. So, when I was thinking about the way that we kind of built the album, getting, Lloyd from Atlanta, getting Davies from, New York, and getting Jay Worthy from LA, all on one song. I just wanted to show that I could exist on a record with, these great artists that are from everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, and bring people together and bring artists together, and see what comes out of it. Doing a record. Nobody had heard Big Crit and Sauce Walker together before they heard Situated. Like that never happened.
Right,
Um, and me being from up top, being from, Western New York, and then them being from Mississippi and being from Houston, it's like a whole different vibe. Like we never really heard that before. And so to bring those people together, or these artists together, again, it's like just kind of showing and proving like, yo, nah, skis can exist literally in any box. And then, I got obviously, Static Select on there. You know what I'm saying? I got Ski Beats on there who did, classic Jay-Z Reasonable Doubt records. Like,
yeah,
this is a whole different level for Jae Skeese. I recorded
right.
Econ 4 over in, over in London. Like, it was literally, I shot the brick after brick video over in London. You know what I'm saying? So literally we just really wanted to focus on showing the growth, and like, yo, Skeese has been in the underground for the last few years. Now he's here. That was like the whole mindset behind, the features and stuff like that. But the features, again, like, I kind of went on a tangent, but the features, getting some of those were really important for me, especially Big Crit, because, he's like one of my favorite all-time artists. You know what I
I,
mean? So to work with him, do the video, to bring him out, at my show on, the ground level tour, it was everything.
Dope, man. I have a theory because I know you've mentioned you're an '89 baby, right? I
Mhm.
feel like probably when you were in high school, hip hop really started branching out into a lot more different sounds. I have a theory. Maybe that's why you could jump on so many different kind of tracks with so many people, man. Like you're in the middle of so many different classic and like new sounds growing up. I'm guessing,
Yeah,
because
no,
I
that
remember
makes
I remember
sense.
that time frame, So
Yeah, for sure.
so yeah, but
For
so
sure.
so so aside from that, you sent me the ground level mixtape. It was called Ground Level The Separation. This is a completely different animal of Jae Skeese. This
Yeah,
reminds me of some of your Bandcamp stuff, like super sharp with the lyricism. You know what I mean? You're not just trying to make vibes here. You're being extra sharp with the bars. I suggest
yep.
you'll check it out. So that was hosted by Peter Rosenberg. Now, from what I caught, that project was sort of in honor of a little girl that got passed away in Buffalo,
Yeah, it was
something like
that he
that.
was actually a little boy,
Okay,
Ramon Red Carter. Yeah, he was a 3-year old. He got shot and killed here in Buffalo, New York, on the east side where I'm from. It was June 21st, if I'm not mistaken. So I was like in the middle of recording the mixtape when I saw it on Facebook, and it was just, man, just kind of fucked me up. Like, yo, how do we have, where do we go wrong here? You know what I'm saying? And it's not this isn't like an isolated incident. Like things like this happen, in Buffalo, and it's just kind of like I wanted to just use my platform to just help the family, and the mother especially, and just bring some awareness to the situation.
Yeah, yeah. And I believe you give part of the proceeds
Yeah,
to the
so
family, I
we
suppose.
sold the project on Even originally, and so we donated 50% of the
Wow,
proceeds, from the mixtape to the family of Ramon Red Carter.
nice man. So I remember you left a message in my DMs. You said that ground level was supposed to be a bit longer than it was. I don't know if it was supposed to have some of those mixtape tracks. Do you like longer projects or do you like shorter projects? Like my whole platform is focused on can you make a classic project?
Mm.
That's the only reason I'm going to interview someone, right? But I'm enjoying these 20 to 35 minute projects rather than these 1 hour projects that I grew up on, man. I feel like back in the day, the third verses were the weakest. They just threw the scraps they had left.
Yeah.
But how what what's an ideal project for you, like lengthwise, man?
I mean, it's not like a time limit thing. I think for me, as long as I got, kind of my idea out and, in a way where, it can kind of be digested and understood, I think that's more important to me than like the actual time of the record. Um, but like I'm a big fan of like, a solid 12 to 15 tracks
Got it.
per album. Because it shows that you took your time. It shows that you wanted to really give like something to the listener.
Right,
Like, if you're gonna have, so when I think about, perfect albums again, I always think about Good Kid, Mad City. I think about my dark twisted fantasy. My beautiful dark twisted fantasy. I just listened to that album on my way back from Chicago. We drove, and we're listening to that album, and it's like, yo, how do you have this many good songs on one album?
right,
It's actually great. Like when you listen to that album, it's like, yo, I think there might be 14 or 15 songs. It's like at least 12 of them are crazy, and the other three are no slouch. You get what
right.
I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I don't know. That's like my sweet spot that when I like to think about albums is 12 to 15.
And it,
15 if you have a little more to say.
And I guess you want your runway to show your versatility. That seems like a staple
There you go.
for
There you go.
for you, right?
Mm.
So we already talked about 40 hours. This is your latest project, right? At the beginning of the
Yep.
interview, you got a lot of Buffalo heads that sort of you've gained notice of: Gluski, K Pistol, Little Jonesy, PZ the God. He's also from Buffalo,
Yeah. Yep.
and then Winter Peace as well. She's dope. And then you got a theme song. We mentioned the Buffalo lacrosse team, man. That's like extra Buffalo, man. So yeah, man.
Yeah.
Uh, I noticed on the cover you have a check there, uh, written out to Ground Level LLC for $1 million, man. That's some good
Yep.
manifesting, man. Sounds like.
There you go. There you go. You got to put it down on paper to make it happen.
Yeah, man. So look, here's my closing question for you. I like to give each guest their own customized closing question. So, if Jae Skeese is currently on the ground level right now, we're talking March 2025.
Mm.
What level is Jae Ski at March of next year, 2026?
I feel like I feel like next year, 2026, Jay Ski should be at least on the first floor. You know what I'm saying? If we at the ground level now, I guess I mean it would be the second floor, but I feel like with everything that I'm doing this year and what I have planned, I will have made, I think in the past years from 2021 to 2024, I really built a solid foundation. And I feel like this year, with what I've been accomplishing and things that I have planned again and things that I know I'm going to do, it's gonna really, just kind of it's gonna make my position in the game more solidified. You know, with me being able to put together this tour, do it out of my own pocket, not having a team of people behind me. It's really me and one other person, spearheading everything and making these plans and, following through with everything. It's like, yo, you kind of gotta respect it at this point. You
Mm-hmm.
can't not respect it. You know what I'm saying? Look at what I'm doing. I'm doing this in a time where it's hard to, it's hard to do shows. You know, it's hard to travel. We're in a fucked up economy. Everything is kind of messed up
Absolutely.
right now, and we're
Yeah.
still finding ways to make it happen. So I think in 2026, I'll be one of those people that, you can look at and say like, yo, nah, he did that. He did that. You know what I'm saying?
So, so look, we all want to see you win. I think the game needs more people like you in it, putting out art along the lines of what you do. That symmetry, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
One of your favorite terms. So we
Yes,
want to
sir.
see you win. Just before, and thank you for offering all your time, man. I know you're a busy dude. You're talking to a lot of people. Just so thank you for sharing all this with
Yes,
us.
yes.
Let
Love.
me just shout out a few people, and then you can say any final words if you want. So we got Taco for Seven, Rob the Boss, Lot of Things, Trey Bean, DD La, Huggy Pacino, so many more. Thank you all for tapping in. Any final words, Jay, before we depart?
Nah, man, I just want to say, thank you again for having me on here. I really appreciate being here. Thank you for being, thorough. That was something that you kind of mentioned, leading up to the interview is that you were going to be thorough. And, you didn't ask the same questions that I've always been asked. And I really appreciate that because it shows that, you really took your time, you did the research. And again, I just appreciate it, man, because I have a long list and a long, lineage of, work and things that I've been doing over the years. So to know that, you went back and did the research and you appreciate it, like that really means a lot. You know what I mean? So I really appreciate you bringing me on your platform today and, you sitting here talking to me. Man, and I'm, just looking forward to seeing, what you do in the future, and of
Thank
course,
you.
what I do in the future. You know what I'm saying? And again, everybody has a ground level story. So to everybody that tapped in today and that will tap in the future, just always remember that. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to remember where you started at. But the real like plan is to start at ground level and build up into a skyscraper, and that's my mindset, and that should be yours too.
And I just want to say this, you know what I mean? I stopped like as an artist officially a few years ago. I'm good now. I like
Yeah,
supporting artists. I like hearing good voices and just adding to it, amplifying it. In my mind, you're in a rare spot, being in proximity to Conway, the things you've done. Not many people statistically will be where you're at, man. So we
yeah.
hope you capture the opportunity and wish you all the best, man. Thank you.
Yes,
So
sir. Salute, man.
have a great night, everyone. Thank you so much.
All right,
Peace.
man. Peace.